Oh no, Sasa, it feels like every time we see him, he's going down. Can't quite find Gala, but Gala does get knocked up. He is surviving for now, but YCX and the Alistar damage a little too hefty.
Yeah, Gala going to be taken out on the backside of that fight as well, so that's at least something back for LGD. They're doing a pretty good job at the moment of actually trading every play 1-for-1. About 15 minutes ago, I said the words, about a 3k gold lead right here for IG. Well, if you take a look, they haven't really been able to actually expand that any further. They've been doing a very good job right here as LGD of just keeping it close. But Sasi has not been having a good time right now. He's just getting taken out once again. But it is a pretty good equalizer at the very end of that fight. I mean, yeah, YCX gets the kill, but it's very much the damage out of this Rumble that is still incredibly potent here at 2 items that's able to pick that one up.
I think YCX has generally been pretty good, but that was a fundamental miscue there. You know, against the Vi and the Kaisa, they're going to be able to go on top of your Rumble if they want. You have to play with him rather than try to run around there, so... You know, unfortunately, leaving his top out to dry. Maybe he just wanted to claim the shutdown for himself. Those support items do make a pretty good impact. He definitely got a nice paycheck there from taking out Gala. As Baron up in just a couple of seconds. LGD, a little bit of mid-control here. You can see XQW positioning maybe for a walls.
Potentially going to look to push forwards right here onto IG. Oof. This is risky right here, but they have to keep the pace up in this game. If they start letting IG run the game here, they're just going to start losing this one incredibly quickly. Right now, though, all of the posturing, Baron available, but Shy has been able to push this one through in the bottom lane. They're going to have to send somebody down to deal with him at some point pretty soon.
Yeah, you've lost mid-track, too.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to find their way in, and IG now have complete advantage and complete control.
Good play right there out of Miko to stop the base out of XQW.
The Shy?
And now the Shy just, going to be able to push forwards onto this tower. This is a massive mistake right here out of LGD. This is what's been hurting them. The decision-making around the mid-game. And in this one, they try to posture about the Baron, but they don't pull the trigger. They don't go in at any point, and they don't have a teleport, as you pointed out right at the very beginning of this game. Sasi, no teleport means that it's so much harder to rotate down and actually stop the Shy from just being able to push this one through. He doesn't get the inhibitor at least, so that's something. But still, Baron actually going to be started up by IG.
Kids, this is why you take teleport on pretty much everybody. Rookie chunking out Sasa, taking him to half. Here comes the Weaver's Wall. XQW at least getting in there, stopping the Baron. IG are forced off. Rookie's got to use his ultimate, but the push is still on for the Shy, and it's going to be Sasa who has to back for it, so he's not going to be available for this fight if LGD won it.
No, and you've only sent back Sasa right here. That's not going to stop this inhibitor from falling, and the Shy on 2 pushes is able to just pick up so much. And for IG, this is incredibly repeatable. They could just keep doing this again and again and again. Threaten onto the Baron, allow the Shy to push. Threaten the Baron, allow the Shy to push. And until LGD makes a decision to either send multiple people bot lane to kill the Shy, potentially lose Baron, or send everybody to try to get a straight up 5v4 team fight going on around Baron and maybe lose out the game to the Shy's push, it's just going to keep happening. It's either a slow bleed out or they're going to have to be proactive about it.
This is the LGD that we have seen so far in 2025 with the rough mid-game macro. They made it difficult on themselves by not taking the second teleport. You know, at least they can hang their hat on that play they made with Rift Herald that, you know, it looked like it was not a great situation, but they forced it to be pretty good. Yeah, you lost 2 inners and an outer, but you did something with it, and they're trying to do something here. The Shy eats a full equalizer, but it doesn't even do that much. Now Vi ready to go in along with Rookie. YCX going to find the knockup. The carries are safe. They blow up Jeje. Here we go. It's a 5v4 stun out onto Mako. The Shy wants to go in. He will manage to survive. Rookie going to land a big charm on XQW, but the flash away means Mako can't get in either. So LGD hanging tough. XQW off alone on the side is going to get shielded up, but Gala on the gold from XQW, but the rest of the fight not exactly going the way that they want. The Shy got in there, did damage, but died. Now it's time for Gala to have another Kaisa moment here. He gets exhausted. He's got a flash. He's split off from the team. He's in the Guardian Angel. The guys can't save him. Mako wants to save his buddy. He gives him a shield as much as he can. Gala fighting his way through and finds 2 with the help of his support. And now it's only Rookie and Climber left standing. And Climber's got to run like hell. The dogs are being hunted.
Look, bot lane though, as this is happening, Climber gonna have to retreat under the tower, try to get back to base. If he's not able to do so quickly, gonna end up losing out onto one of these Nexus towers. Oh, I think he's just about gonna be able to get back in time to at least stop this from being a complete disaster. That was such a messy team fight. Multiple pop-off moments out of everybody involved. Just Rookie and Climber able to survive. And I mean, the end prize is that IG get themselves another Drake. What a mess.
Yeah, it's not looking so hot, and that'll be sole point for them, so I have to watch out for the next Dragon as we take a look at this replay. This is a great start for LGD.
Really is. I feel like you could re-watch this team fight again and again and focus on a different person every single time because something's always happening across the board. I'm watching Rookie throughout this one though. Had to flash away from that seismic shove at the start, but as one of the only remaining surviving members, was just able to weave his way through this fight very well. Not able to do quite as much damage as you would really hope to though. I think that's part of why this team fight doesn't actually work so well for IG. Gala is playing his absolute heart out during this, whereas for the most part, Rookie doesn't actually do too much in this one.
And we're no longer picture-in-picture. At the very least, the Baron down below 4,000 HP.
Just gone again.
There's no way that LGD are going to be able to get in here. IG draped in purple.
Indeed, they are potentially hankering for a fight as well. Rookie going to go in.
Everybody wants Sasa on the side of RG, and they're going to find him. IG just crushing them. And now it's a 5v4. JJ trying to get the way forward. So they're just being corralled.
Really are. They're actually going to be able to step away our LGD, but the damage has been done. Baron picked up, losing a member as well. And the wave clear is pretty decent for LGD, one of the only saving graces for the team at the moment, with these Baron-empowered minions pouring down through the mid lane, through the top lane very soon as well, and the super minions in the bottom lane. It's going to be a very tricky base defense to be able to pull off.
It's going to be nigh impossible, I think, but Xiaoya, at least he's going to get his fill. We haven't really talked about him too much. 5-2-3, doing his thing on this Xayah pick. Really good into the IG composition. The former IG Young 80 carry. In an alternate universe, maybe he's on the other side here, you know, and bearing down on the LGD base instead. Do find a big charm coming out. YCX down below half.
Indeed, and Rookie just keeps on moving forwards with that Spirit Rush, doing as much as he can to just buy space for the team right now. They don't really need to engage a fight. More than happy to just be able to pick up these objectives and make it so that there's less and less map right here for LGD to be able to play around. I gotta say though, as much as this has been a very impressive game from IG, LGD haven't just let it happen to them. They've been proactive. Win or lose, pretty nice. Hang on, Nico goes in.
Yeah, XQW finds himself in a lot of trouble. The Equalizer did some damage. Climber gets taken all the way to the back line. He ends up trading out the Shy, looking to just rip the rest of the back line. The Inhibitor getting focused here. JJ and Rookie just doing dynamic duo things. The Inhibitor has fallen. The minions still pouring in through the bottom side. They're going to shift it down for this Inhibitor. Oh, wait, Rookie with a big flash. He gets exhausted. He gets knocked up, and he goes down. LGD, as you said, not letting it happen.
No, they are still fighting into this one. That was a play that they decided to engage upon themselves. Climber desperately trying to make it work. Gala now going to get jumped right here. Manages to dodge away from the seismic shove.
Oh, man, the combos are just too strong. Gala lives. He's dumping damage. JJ leading the way. YCX will fall. The teleport comes in from the Shy, and they are going scorched earth on the LGD base.
Gala with the fancy feet right there. Xiaoya trying so hard to be able to pick the kill. Actually gets the stun, but the golden available to the Shy. Resets coming through. Climber actually here. He's going to be able to pick up that kill. That's a decently big shutdown, and despite the fact that this is a mess of a fight, Nexus Towers, they do remain. LGD, they're able to pull off the base defense, kind of.
They are still in this game. They're not in it as in, hey, we are in it to win it, but they are in this game of League of Legends, still connected to the server right now, although it's not going to get any easier. A minute 20 seconds until Ocean Soul for IG. And with this LGD comp, yeah, Ocean Soul is going to be something that is nigh insurmountable. And I do want to talk about, you know, this game. You know, we really harped on IG needing to be clean and repeat what they were able to do in day one. And although the scoreline looks a little ugly, I think that it's LGD that have been at least making the most of some of these fights. But I think IG has actually played pretty well overall, save for a couple of messy dives.
Yeah, IG have played a very impressive early game, I'd say. Mid-game, couple interestingly played team fights, but it's just the map-based macro that's been so good for IG. Every single time they've been able to pick themselves up an objective, it's been pretty much uncontested. They haven't really actually been fighting around objectives in terms of, oh, is it a 50-50? No, there's been no 50-50 smites. JJ's been able to pick these ones up very easily. And it is just one of the best bits of IG right now. Not only are they amazing in terms of hands checks, but also they can just outplay the map on you so well.
Now, how much of that is being on easy mode, going only up against one teleport? That is the question.
Yes.
That we will still need to see them answer, later on in the season.
Absolutely. Especially because that's been one of the best players for LGD, has really been popping off in their win up against LNG. Destroyed, but even in the losses that they took to IG and JDG, they've still been one of the top players for the team, and so it's been really sad to see him just get completely shut down throughout this one. Ocean Soul is going to be picked up here for IG. You said how strong it was going to be. This feels like it's going to be the last base defense, last stand right here for LGD. What can they do?
Rookie just needs to fish for a charm. JJ just needs to find an angle and you'll be just fine. Everybody is in the base for IG. It's a party, and LGD is going to pay for it. Double super waves bearing in from every direction, Bloxer.
So tricky.
The moment is, all right, we're going to see YCX go in. JJ going to get to the back line. Rookie coming through. Sasa going to be the first target. He's going to go down. Gala will see XQW go golden and realize it is a golden opportunity for him to free hit. First Nexus turret has fallen. Wait a minute. We have 2 kills for Shaoya. The Nexus is exposed. The question is, can you drive off IG? Can you drive off Gala and Mako?
Gala.
I don't know if you
Gala.
can drive him off. The exhaust is out. Wait a minute. Shaoya puts him into stasis, but no. Mako shuts him down. Climber has to kill Gala and Mako. That might be an impossibility. And it is. IG will slam the door shut on LGD.
It's a mess. It's a mess of a final team fight like all team fights were this game. But in the end, IG still going to be able to come out on top. Gala, fancy feat throughout the entire game. Honestly, he had such an impressive performance right here on this signature Kai'Sa.
Yeah, are you surprised? Is anybody surprised, right?
No.
Like I said, certified Kai'Sa moments. We had a few of them. If it wasn't for the exhaust, we would have had many, many more of them. Dude would have had maybe like 6 pentakills this game or something. Right? Maybe not that many, but overall a nice performance.
I believe it.
Classic, a classic performance out of some of the IG players. And, LGD, the first time we see them have a really rough early game. But again, the mid game, it wasn't as bad as prior ones we had seen. Again, we were really looking for them just a couple of minutes, a couple of minutes into the mid game, maybe stabilize, maybe make some sort of advantage. And while they weren't able to because they were down, they were at least able to keep it even for a while, which I think is an encouraging sign and some progress.
Yeah, they weren't making the losses worse. They kept IG at about a 3k gold lead for a very long time, and the team fights that they were taking were pretty good. It was the rest of the map play that was really tricky. We highlighted it a lot. The lack of teleport out of Sasa makes it so hard for him actually to be able to play the map for the entirety of LGD to be able to. There's a couple plays that come to mind where they're trying to find some plays topside and they're losing out on tower after tower in the bot side. The multiple times where IG were threatening around the Baron and the Shy is just able to pick himself up towers and Inhibitor's bot lane. And then the second that bot lane Inhibitor was down and the super minions were pouring in, it was becoming tricky for LGD to really be able to step up and try to find those proactive plays. It's still problems for this team, but these are different problems, and at least the team fighting did look better.
Yeah, and the Shy was just able to, as you said, pop off. He had the scissors, he pulled them out, he was stabbing the life out of LGD in a lot of these fights, and that split push was pretty incredible. Now, I do wonder how different this game looks if we see the Rumble have the teleport, right? Maybe we're not getting that top dive. And, I really respect what LGD did there, recognizing, hey, we have this extra early power, even though this isn't a perfect 2v1 dive for the champions that we have. It's very doable. They did get it done. It was clean. But, after that, it was just so hard that I hesitate to think if it was actually worth it.
Yeah, getting that one good playoff and then for the rest of the game getting kind of bullied around by the Shy. I mean, hey, a lot of top laners fall to him. It's no embarrassment there. But the play into the Shy usually for a lot of teams is, hey, enjoy your worst tank matchup and just join us in the team fights. Be useful later on. Deciding to take a Rumble with Ignite means you're trying to carry your team. You're trying to pay it back. That's something we've talked about him really needing to do. Fortunately, it wasn't quite the case, whereas the Shy, hey, whoops, my bad, got dove immediately, doesn't matter, was able to turn that one around and was incredibly impactful for his team. The entirety of IG ended up playing that one out pretty well. The only person who I would have liked a little bit more from was Rookie in a couple of these team fights, but then in other team fights was popping off and landing a ton of key charms, so it's not like there was any dead weight on this IG roster at all, and it's great to see them actually be back.
Yeah, it's still not as sharp as we'd like, specifically out of Rookie, as you said. You know, we're hoping that in the JDG game later, we're really seeing Rookie have consistent performances, making smart plays, not trying to push the envelope, because that's what it felt like here. It felt like IG definitely took some decisions to limit test a little bit. And while that's all well and good, you know, we still need to see with our eyes that, like, hey, man, get a clean start to finish game first, and then you can start limit testing. So we'll see if they'll have that clean start to finish game like they did against JDG on the first day of this group.
Yeah, they need something just a little bit cleaner overall, but at the same time, a win is a win. Have a look at the gold graph. Yeah, you see there's a really long period of time, right? From about, what, 12 minutes into the game till about 30, where, yeah, the gold increases a little bit, but it really sits very even, and then all of a sudden, once those couple Baron plays go down, once the over push in the top side leads to them losing a couple of towers, that's when all of a sudden IG get massively back into this game. You can see it here, Rookie still does more than enough damage for the team, is still incredibly impactful overall. We're just expecting something extra. I mean, when your name's Rookie, right, we're expecting perfection, and when it isn't that, it's a little bit obvious. At the same time, though, it's still a really good game right here out of IG. For LGD, I'm not upset about this one. I'm really not. It's unfortunate for a team like this. It's unfortunate in the LPL in general for teams that are not the top tier, that in a lot of these different seedings, you know, you're just sat looking at your group going, well, IG and JDG are here. What do we do? As a third place team, though, if they do end up coming out of this group in third, I think they're going to look very good in that last chance placement. So I do not expect this to be one of the teams that we actually see in Group Nirvana. I think this is a Group Ascend quality team, and I would love to see them there because I think they're so close to fully putting it together, and this was a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more about wanting to see them in Ascend. I do wish that they had a little bit more of a calmer early game and maybe had some more CC tools, because I would have really liked to see a composition that includes a good amount of CC and a fair amount of damage, because they stacked up pretty well in early games against some really good teams. We didn't get to see it here, but enough about LGD, because we need to talk about potential MVPs here. You know, we mentioned that there were a lot of really good plays coming out from IG. I mean, Gala's the flashy pick, but he did really solo save some of these fights, this one included.
Multiple fights where Gala is just the man. And this is something that Gala's good at doing in a lot of situations, especially on this Kai'Sa. I think I would probably give it to Gala in this situation. JJ played a pretty good early game, but actually ended up getting caught out in quite a lot of these team fights. It didn't matter, because once everybody had blown all of their damage onto JJ, who cares? Gala's there, Rookie's there, plenty of damage elsewhere. But still, it was a nice early game from him. It's IG, man. Nobody's the dead weight. Nobody you're looking at and going,
Team MVP.
This is who is not doing it. A team MVP would be
not
reasonable in this situation.
Maybe like
just
4 out of 5. You know, if you wanted to give a team MVP, Rookie, you don't get a team MVP. Sorry, brother. It wasn't great enough. But yeah, I think it's got to be Gala. I mean, you know, Mako had like a really quiet game. We didn't see any really crazy quickness coming through, charming like 4 or 5 people. But we saw him do it was a lot of dirty work. It was a lot of, let me go peel for Gala. I know I'm going to die here. Let me give him his shields, because I know he's going to be able to win a fight in the end.
And this is the nature of this composition, right? You don't have to be this big engaged tool. I'm sure that in a composition with a lot less tools to just go flying in, Miko would have played it like that. But you've got the Vi who's going to initiate the fights, and Rookie was initiating a lot of the fights through the charms. So it's very much just going to be, hey, I'll peel, I'll help out. This is the thing with the Rakan. Such a versatile pick. You can go flying in, or you can sit back and relax a little bit more and just help out Gala. And it clearly worked in this one.
it's such a strong champion, and it was a really good takeaway too. You don't want to give over the Xayah and the Rakan. It's typically a duo that is a little too strong at times, but yeah, you said it. It was just exactly what they needed. If you needed dive, he brought it. If you needed peel, he brings that too. And, you know, all right, that's the sound. That means that we're going to have our MVP. There we go.
Yeah.
The MVP music, slap.
I love it. It's a great one. And you know what? A very well-deserved MVP right here.
Yeah.
Those team fights were close. Other than the fact that Gala was just styling on kids, there's multiple fights where people are putting basically everything on top of him. We'll see in the highlights right here, perhaps. He's just sidestepping seismic shoves left, right, and center throughout these fights. If he gets caught by any of these, I don't know that IG are actually going to win out on those team fights.
Just noticed that he used the IG skin too, which is a very nice touch.
Always
right?
fun.
But that fight down there was pretty fantastic. We don't need to see all of them. We knew exactly what Gala was taking to task that game and doing to decimate LGD. But before we go to a break, we want to thank our coffee subscribers and our YouTube subscribers. We're extremely grateful for all of you. You guys all help level up the show. Many of the initial payments go into upgrading the broadcast, but a large bulk of it also goes to paying on-air talent, content creators, the people behind the scenes who really make this broadcast work. Subscribe to our coffee, linked in the chat. You can unlock perks like early access to content and the ability to ask interview questions for our unique on-site interviews. But that'll do it for us for right now. And when we return, we're going to come up with the next game. We're going to see JDG take on LNG right after this.
Take a moment right here, feeling like it's out gear, driving towards the sun with a rose and a gun. Feel the wind in my hair, going nowhere I swear, like an outlaw on the run, dangerous but it's so fun, running, no, hold on, don't let go, running, no. Told my boss that I'm done. Had no luck with my mom. Say, what will you do with your life? You know it's hard to survive. A cigar in my mouth. Maybe guilty but proud. Now I'm an outlaw on the run. Dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running low. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running low. Keep running low.
Welcome back, everybody, to the LPL 2025 Split 2 placements. Here in Group D, we saw the first two teams, IG and LGD, where IG laid a bit of a beat down, although it was a messy, bloody game with a lot of fighting. This time around, it's going to be a mountain for LNG to climb as they take on JDG, and JDG, a team that's still trying to find themselves, Boxer.
Yeah, JDG, they've had an interesting one where at the moment it feels like they're very much hands-checking their opponents. Obviously, you can look at the names right here. Not surprising that they're able to do so. Scout and Pays specifically have been having very impressive performances. At the same time, though, it doesn't feel like they're playing together as a team so well. They're not necessarily trying to play specifically around any of these lanes. Some of the macros being a little bit questionable as well. But still, it's been good enough for them to pick up a ton of wins in this group so far. And they will be looking at LNG as another pretty easy opponent, you'd have to think.
Yeah, and you know, JDG, they haven't been as consistent as we've talked about, still looking for their identity. But, you know, Ala and Scout, second team All-Pro. We had Ala third team, and we did not have Scout on our All-Pro ballots. Pays, You know, he was third team All-Pro. We had him second team. We can really agree that these are some of the top players. And, you know, once they find their form, it's going to be scary. This is really the group about finding your form, I think, Bloxer, as we see these teams progress. And for LNG on the other side, might not be finding your form, but maybe using the tools that you're given to actually make plays.
Yeah, unfortunately, as much as we've been talking about how LGD, yeah, they're losing games, but it's still looking pretty good when it's happening, that can't quite be said for LNG so far. They've not had a particularly good time of it. I mean, they've not had a good year so far. Exactly the same roster as they had last time around as well, and that ended up picking up a single win in 3 best-of-5s, and their split was then done. In this one, they are definitely one of the teams who I've been looking at as unfortunately bound for Group Nirvana. I hope they can turn it around. I hope they can pick themselves up a win. It's going to be a very tough mountain to climb right here versus JDG. The last time these two teams met, it was a complete domination for JDG. In fact, there were only 6 kills picked up for LNG across the course of the whole game.
Yeah, LNG has really stood for losing next game so far this season. It's been very difficult for these guys. And I mean, it's got to be exceptionally tough on Zika and Weiwei, because these are guys that went to Worlds last year when Scout, who is the opposite mid laner in this game, was on the team. That is a very large departure. Now, the good news is they're the stars of this team. And, you know, with the meta changes, we've seen top laners all of a sudden come alive. You know, take a look at a guy like the Shy as a big example. So maybe Zeke is going to have an opportunity to really be the carry for this team. Just needs a little bit of help from this mid and bottom side. Zhuo's been called out a lot. You know, Hai Chao has had to fill Scout shoes, but hasn't really been able to make a big impact with the tools they've been given. I mean, you take a look at some of the rough plays that they've had. It's been really, really difficult for these guys.
Yeah, it just has not felt like they've been able to get themselves a footing at all. Even up against LGD, who's looking like our 3rd place team, they were still completely destroyed in this one. LNG, they were able to pick up 1 or 2 kills early on in this game, but the team fights as well just were not working out for them at all. Getting run around off the rift in this one, and it just, I don't know where they try playthrough, right? You can see in this game, they've got Haichao right here on the Galio. He's been playing some of the Aurora. It hasn't really mattered what he's been put on right now. Hasn't been able to find those carry performances. Photic, I think, has been a pretty big bright spot for LNG. Someone they can potentially try to play around. The Callista specifically been a really good look for him. But if you can't teamfight, if you can't play the map correctly, it doesn't matter if your ADC's doing okay. You can see here time and time again, they just keep getting drawn into these fights that they're just not winning.
Yeah, it's been really, oh man, watching this Nocturne and the Scalio combo. Listen, this isn't them. This is not them. I don't think that's the look for this team. We saw these Nocturne ults go down, and, you know, he's either walking forward his way or just not taking them, and Hai Chao isn't Galio ulting him in time. Maybe there's trust issues. I don't know. I would like to see something something easy to execute, but something that is not going to rely on the rest of the team dealing damage as much. Like if you had a Nocturne Orianna, which we've seen really fall off in priority, like I think that would be an okay look for them, right? You've got a lot of confidence that you can blow up a single target and not necessarily have to win a whole fight.
Yeah, that could be something for them to try to play around. They've got to find an identity somewhere. They've been trying different carries all across the board. In fact, in the last game they played up against JDG, there's maybe too many cooks in the kitchen in terms of this composition, right? You've got the Callista, the Aurora, the Vi, the Senna, and the Gwen. Like, that's...
resource heavy.
Who is not taking resources in that composition? Who's going to sit in the front line and just absorb damage? Who's going to sit in front of Photic and allow him to be able to run around this team fight and actually deal the damage? The answer was nobody. That's part of the reason why they weren't able to pick up that win. So I feel like there's been some draft issues as well for LNG. Overall, it's just been such a rough split for them. And remember, going down into Group Nirvana leaves you with the risk that you maybe don't get to play in summer. For a organization as historied as LNG, that would be devastating.
Oh, it would be so bad. I mean, like, this is a team that just went to Worlds last year. And obviously, it's not the same team, right? But, like, just seeing that precipitous drop-off between 2024 and 2025 is, it's sad to see. And, you know, maybe they're going to be able to do something. The building blocks are going to have to start here, Bloxer, because we don't need to see LNG win this game. I think we're pretty set on seeing them in Group Nirvana at this point. We just need to see them do something. Show some level of like competency with your picks. Draft something with an identity that gives you tools, and then be like, okay, this is how you use the tools. Use these tools properly here. They don't need to win. They just need to show that, hey, you can make some of these plays.
Yeah, if they made any of their matchups look like LGD have been making their games look, we'd be pretty happy. We'd be happy with the difference that they've been able to make. I mean, this is the exact same roster as they had previously. You've been playing together for a really long time. You had a long off-season between Split 1 and Split 2 in order to be able to practice, get yourself a little bit better. I just want to see some cohesion for this team, some way for them to really show up, because something that, you know, is looming over the distance, the potential to not get to play in summer, such a terrifying proposition that you're just like, give us something. Give us something to be able to have some faith in. Yesterday we were asking the question of, you know, are LNG or WE looking like the worst team right now in the LPL? That's not a moniker you want to be competing for.
Yeah, and this is a team that, you know, we've seen a couple of teams around the league make a change here or there. This is a team that made no changes, Bloxer. They are saying, hey, we are sticking with our guys. This is what we have. And no changes after day one of their group, which means if you're going to make any changes for Nirvana, they are going to just not have as much time to gel and congeal and come together. So, you know, they're really going to need members to step up. I really want to look at Hai Chao and Zhuo. Zhuo getting called out a whole lot. You know, Hai Chao, again, needing to fill the shoes of Scout. It's hard to do. Scout, one of the greatest mid laners to ever play the game, right? Yeah. But then you have a guy like, you know, Fodic. He was a first-team All-Pro in 2022. You said he was a big bright spot for the team. If him, Zika, and Weiwei can come together, I think that is enough to beat out some of these teams that you're going to see in Group Nirvana.
Yeah, it's all about building something right now. As much as we've been talking, though, about LNG for good reason, there's also a lot to play for right here as JDG. Now, you've not set yourself up particularly for success by losing already to IG, but if you can beat them here today, because this is a double round robin, then all of a sudden, you may be competing on game time to actually be that first seed. Now, both get into Group Ascend. You've completely disregarded the possibility of not playing in summer. But either way, it's going to be very important for these teams to have that seeding, get themselves the higher position, and just show that they are one of the stronger teams. Dropping a game here to a team like LNG would be devastating to JDG. They really cannot allow that to happen.
No, and this is a great get-right game for them, I think, to try and find their true identity, right? You'd mentioned too many cooks in the kitchen with champion picks over on the side of LNG. Well, for JDG, too many cooks in the kitchen on this team, I think. But the good news is these players can play different styles, right? Yeah. Allah can be an aggressive top laner, can be somebody you pick for, but he's got such a wide champion pool. He can also, you know, elect to play some tanks. Shun has looked pretty good on carries, pretty good on facilitators, but I think the team as a whole just looks different and not in a good way when he's on carries. But I don't think it's his fault.
No, it's been this sort of odd situation right here for JGG where it's like, he can, but when he does, even though he's been playing pretty well, it feels like the rest of the map kind of can't handle it. They need to have a little bit more from that position to be able to work as a cohesive unit. So it looks like we are going to be jumping onto the draft right now. Standard bans are already coming off of the board. It'd be interesting to see if we get any of these more interesting pickups today. We've seen the Neferia a couple times. I don't think it's been looking that good in any of the games. But, you know, it's always hovering on the edges of possibility, especially for these worse teams who are looking for something to change it up.
I think in a disadvantaged map state, you know, Climber did what he could. So yeah. I actually think that Neferia has been pretty okay. And if you're a good team picking Neferia, it feels like, you know, there's pub stomping champions in solo queue, right? That it's like there's lower coordination, so you're able to really take advantage. Neferia against some lower coordinated teams like an LNG, probably just a giga good pick. Yeah. LNG, all right, there's this one champion. He can impale 3 champions. Yeah. You should probably ban that guy.
Yes, I would very much hope that we're going to see the Skarner ban right here. If not, though, to be fair, I don't know that JDG would particularly want to look towards it. Obviously, there's no questions of can it be played right here. Jun would be absolutely fine on it, but at the same time, they've been much more focused on going towards heavily aggressive pickups right here. Played something like the Nidalee as well, has been more than happy to play aggressive, and if JDG don't decide to grab it, I would love to see Weiwei on this Skarner.
Slam it. There we go.
Just take it.
Listen, LNG, I'm sure they would have loved the Skarner, but again, a facilitator for Shun.
Yeah.
This already looks really good. Alk Battery had said in the past, no more Nidalee games for Shun. So, Bloxer, no. Bad.
Bad?
No.
Hey, but it's fun.
No.
It's
we gotta
fun.
get the squirt bottle. They gotta get the squirt bottle for the Nidalee, all right? Get off the counter, get out of here. Over on the side of LNG, though, some good early game power, some pick potential. So, they have some tools. Now, Bloxer, we need to see them use the tools.
Yes, absolutely. But that's the trade that you do for the Skarner, right? You give that one up, but you get two of the massive priority picks in the meta at the moment. The Varus has been the strongest ADC in a lot of these fights, and the Vi, I think, has been looking like the best jungler. It's just so proactive, like you said. Can struggle a little bit into the Skarner because you are trying to go so far in, and it leaves you vulnerable to getting caught with that Impale early on. But still, it gives you a lot of chase, especially onto a carry like the Ezreal. Ezreal for Pays has been a great look for him as well. Another one of those ADCs we've been seeing a lot for how safe it is going to be. I would like to see Missing on something aggressive right here. I think he's looked really good on things like the Nico. There were a few bad games, though, for Missing on some more of the engage support type champions.
Talia getting locked in here for JDG. See what the call is for LNG. Definitely a lot of hovers, a lot of good options. We saw Orianna was a hover. Orianna Vi, pretty good. Aurora Vi, usually the combo of choice that everybody really likes just because of the sheer amount of damage that comes through once the Vi drops rolled.
I could see the Ahri being locked in this situation just because it is a little bit safer. It's a perfectly good matchup into the Talia. You're very unlikely to die in the laning phase. And it gives you so much roam potential to be able to follow the Talia even when she's got that Weaver's Wall available to her. Works pretty well alongside the Vi as well. And this is the kind of composition right here out of LNG that can find a pick very easily. If you're able to hit the Chains of the Corruption, maybe a Charm, maybe the Vi just goes flying in with that ulti, all of a sudden you can turn these fights into 4v5s, and that'll make it a heck of a lot easier to play out. Right now, though, they are struggling a little bit in terms of just having some front line to be able to absorb damage by time. You still got the support, though. Zhou can pick up some of these big tanky champions still there. Although we are beginning to run out of them a little bit. Leona and Rel are the two remaining engaged supports that have been very strong.
Yeah, and I think Leona would be pretty nice for LNG here simply because you get to lock down the Skarner. You not only have to worry about the Skarner Impale, but everything else you can do in a team fight, right? So if you're in melee range, you say, hey, I'm going to lock you down all game long. And Zenith Blades, Shield of Daybreaks, just keeping you completely stun locked. It would also be a very nice long-range way to start fights. You land the Solar Eclipse, and then you have the Chains of Corruption come through. The fights are all yours at that point. Cassante getting taken out here by LNG is a champion that thankfully, Bloxer, we haven't seen as much of because, man, he can do some crazy things, but I hate that champ so much.
Oh, it's been so strong when it does get picked up right here, although, yeah, taking it off the board definitely makes this a little bit more interesting. I think the Renekton going 2 means that we might get quite an aggressive top lane matchup potentially. The Gwen's still available. The Ambessa is something that's also been picked up a lot recently. LNG, they still need to pick themselves up as support and a top laner. I'd be very surprised if they don't take the top laner here, because as much as blind picking top laners isn't everybody's favorite thing to do, Ambessa's still absolutely fine in this situation, and I think being able to get yourself a stronger bot lane matchup here will be really impactful for them.
Not only that, fits in with the pick comp that you have here with the public execution. Now, JDG wouldn't be too surprised if they respond with a standard engage support and a Gwen here, give something, to be able to enable this Gwen, and this could be a flex pick. Don't know if we've seen Ala play it. It is possible. Ezreal Karma is a strong 2v2.
So much poke. Yeah, that's the thing. When you've got that counter pick of the support, this means that you're kind of just opting out of this bottom lane. You can try to go for something else, more pick potential back. Something like the Renata could still go down into that bottom lane. But with this Ezreal Karma, there's just so much poke in that bottom side. You're more expecting to just have to abandon Photic to be pushed in most of the time, try to get him involved in the team fights later. And it's going to be the Jax locked in right here. We've seen Jax and Bessa a lot. The Jax can come out on top in these matchups. You have to be a little bit careful. Once you hit level 6, there's a possibility to get pulled under the tower, and that can make it very tricky to play this one out. But Arla, Jax, paired with the Skarner, I love that as a combo here.
Yeah, it could be a little tricky to play in the team fights too, just because it feels like LNG's comp can play from different ranges and spread themselves out. But LNG going to round it out nicely with the Rel. So you're going to have the 3-man engaged team of Ambessa, of Vi, and Rel. Really good way to tie things together. If you're able to catch Pei's mispositioning, but more likely Scout and missing a guy who we've much maligned. He's had some problems. Really has no way of getting out if he gets engaged on. We could see LNG get some leads early on.
Absolutely. It very much is going to be on LNG to drive the pace of this game because the later game team fights are going to be incredibly tricky for them. They're going to get a lot of poke down in this bottom lane RJDG, so I like this pickup of the Rel for show and just say, hey, get out of this lane. Go pair up along with Weiwei and try to gank onto other lanes, get involved elsewhere on the map, skirmish around for these objectives, and try to drive the pace of the game that way. Because once we get into these team fight situations and you've got a Jax and a Skarner jumping at you, oh boy, you'd better hope as Photic that your friends are going to be there to support you.
Yeah, there's going to be so much disruption, and Photic might just be the sacrificial lamb. He might just be like, yo guys, they got me. Everybody else carry, because you have an Ambessa and you have an Ahri that's able to slip and slide around. Again, if they go with this more tanky build, he can stay in a fight for a really, really long time and really outlasted the JDG composition. But we talked about Zika being a guy that you can hang your hat on, really one of the feature players of this LNG team. He's not in a dreadful top lane matchup, so he should have some opportunities to, in these team fights, not be behind and really take over a game.
Yeah, what we're looking for from these teams is more than 6 kills out of LNG. Can they just put themselves together an okay early game? From JDG, though, we're looking for absolute domination. They shouldn't allow LNG to do anything if they want to set themselves up for success for the rest of the day.
We'll see if Shun's Skarner is going to be the undoing of LNG. This is that champion. Still a 100% win rate. And typically we've seen a lot of Zyra into it, just because you're able to clear so quickly and maybe get an early step over the Skarner, but not so here with the Vi. So Bloxer, I am interested how you foresee this jungle matchup going.
I think it very much depends on if these two are going to match each other on pathing or are going to go separate ways, because the counter gank potential out of Jun is very strong. Same sort of thing for Weiwei. And in that situation, it's kind of going to depend on who ends up getting there second. Being there a little bit later on, having all of your tools available perhaps once your opponent has already blown them. In that situation, I think the Vi can be a little bit stronger earlier on, but the Skarner is much better later. So it would be interesting that way. If they're on separate sides of the map, then all of a sudden it's just about who can keep the pace higher, who can make their ganks stick that little bit more, because both of these champions gank so incredibly well. It's very much about making the absolute most of that and being able to drive your lanes forwards, because I think if either of these junglers just sit back and are going to be too passive in this early game, they're going to do their team a real disservice.
Both junglers starting on the top side. JDG going to have a little bit of vision down on both jungle entrances to be able to see wherever Weiwei may be. Missing and Pei is already doing what their bottom lane does, really looking to take this early power out of the Varus.
It's just so unfortunate as the Varus in this matchup, because in most matchups, you actually win out in the poke battle. Not in this one. You're just going to get pushed around. Yeah, this is what I was saying, right? There's a way where you can step up a little bit here. Oh, misses the Vault Breaker. That's not good.
Oh, that puts him in a real awkward spot, too. You can see the pings coming down. Allah has control of the lane, so he's at least shading down, but it looks like, he'll just be like, you know what? I respect it. I'll leave. You can leave my jungle, and I'll go in yours.
Yeah, but that's rough, because I don't think Weiwei actually managed to pick himself up that camp. I think that the Gromp was picked up right there by Jun. Yeah, indeed, because he was able to pick up the walls and the Gromp. And so Weiwei, he's now losing out on this one pretty massively. We'll have to track to see if he's actually able to get right here into JDG's jungle to steal something away. Jun.
Yep, already looking for High Chow. High Chow flashed right into it. First blood for Shu.
Oh no. That's not a good sign for the rest of this game right here. This is the other thing, right? This is the other thing that LNG have been running into, is the communication's just not there. Because what should have been happening there is you say, hey, the Skarner just saw me invade, saw me have to leave, stepped up, so you know that the Skarner has stepped up to likely go and try to steal away a bit of your jungle, has been delayed. It means that the gank is very likely in this situation. Wasn't communicated properly. Haichao's two-stepped forwards and flashes right on into it. It's just so rough right here. I mean, watch the flash, right? You get hit by the seismic shove. Already not ideal. It's a predict out of Jun. It's nice, but like, as Haichao, you just can't do that.
No, he was downloaded, bro. Jun downloaded this man before the game started, and man, that's just gotta feel so bad too, because now as Haichao, you're a little bit behind. You know, you've lost your teleport, you've lost your flash, you're down a little bit in EXP. It means it's gonna be that much harder for you to hit level 6 and make plays with your Vi. It allows more time for JDG to get a little bit more resilient.
And this is off the back of the proactive play out of Weiwei, right? He was trying to get something done. You do skirmish a little bit more effectively at level 2 than the Skarner, so could potentially have stolen away the Grom, stolen away the blue buff, maybe gotten a kill. All of that would have been great. And instead, just isn't able to do anything. I mean, look right now. Ola is pushed this far up with no vision, and Weiwei does not feel comfortable coming into this lane and trying to actually get a gank off. That tells me a lot about the way that this early game has already gone for LNG. It's not over. It can't be over this early on into the game. There's still plenty of League of Legends left to play. But LNG, they're just a team with so many problems at the moment. I just want to see something from them. I want something to get excited about.
Yeah, that was probably one of the saddest things that I have ever seen. And, you know, it just compounds because of that rough early game for Weiwei. You know, you're just like prime opportunity, prime gank real estate here. And you just don't have any confidence to be able to make that play. Is really a microcosm of the problems that LNG has had.
Yeah, the most gankable a top lane has ever looked, and it doesn't happen right here, unfortunately. For JDG, they're going to be pretty happy with the way that the early stages of this game have gone. We've got a Mountain Drake up and available, and the Grub's going to be spawning in about 30 seconds time. In fact, so much do JDG want these Grubs that they have decided to actually swap their bot lanes around. Now, this should be dead. Riot told me this was dead. However, on my screen right now, our bot lane in top.
Yeah, Photic teleported up there. He elected to take that summoner for this game. Not really a huge surprise given the fact that Cleanse isn't going to get you a ton of value here. Maybe Barrier would be good against this poke team, but you know, I respect it for quicker rotations. Get there first, set your feet. Weiwei is going to start up this dragon on the bottom side and see JDG sniffing around for these grubs.
And JGG very much going to want to go towards these ones. They've got pretty good tower taking. Again, the Jax loves to be able to sit on a side lane with these grubs. So it makes a lot of sense to JGG to pick this one up. Good response out of Weiwei to know that this is happening. You know, with the push that had been happening early on from Arla, it was possible that he wasn't actually going to be able to do this, but there's not really any rotation going through at the moment. I think also on the side of the teleport for Photic, in this matchup where you're constantly getting poked out so much, it's very likely you're going to have to go recall more often.
Oh. Here comes Scout, and Zhuo is stuck under this turret. There are so many minions that Photic is losing here. He's only level 4. Paze is going to shift forward and just chunk this man out. Here comes Shun through the wall, slamming him up. Haichao trying to come in a 1v3 right now, looking for good damage onto Shun, but he gets caught. He's got to flash out, but luckily Weiwei able to bail him out. But now Weiwei's in the middle of a 3v1. Zhuo can't do anything to help him. Weiwei goes down, stuns are there. Paze is low, he falls as Haichao really lasts a long time in this fight. One more auto attack and he finds Missing. Will he be able to do anything to Scout? Not quite. And Scout, stunned, still alive, lives, gets the double, 3-0-1.
Oh my lord. The sneaky MVP in that team fight was the minion wave for LNG, because both Paze and Scout had a ton of Qs blocked by the fact this second minion wave arrives right here. This is a bit of an odd play out of JDG. This is what we've been talking about with them not quite having the identity ready. They send multiple members up into this top side, but they don't pull the trigger immediately, and it buys more than enough time for the rest of LNG to arrive. Now, look at the minion wave. So many queues are getting blocked from everybody right now from JDG, and it means that LNG, they're just able to survive this little bit longer. Of course, they still do end up coming out just about behind on this one, and there's a big minion wave that's just completely lost for them in the top side. It's still a good play out of JDG, but it's nowhere near as well executed as you would expect.
Yeah, and another big thing about that was Pays had to be in melee range of Weiwei. That's why Pays ended up being so low at the end of that fight. Luckily, Scout was able to do his former team pretty dirty there. Now 3-0-1, really strong, and already we've seen JDG use their tools with this Skarner that really should have been banned, and Scout with the Weaver's Wall to make big plays. And on the LNG side, again, nothing. I mean, look at this graphic. You've already lost the game. He's 4-0. He's about to be 5-0.
Yeah, I mean, giving over the Skarner, I get it for the counter picks still, though. Zika gonna have to flash away from Scout. Just about gonna be able to survive this one. Is this gonna be another interesting attempt at a dive out of JDG?
Do it.
I mean, you can see there's 3 people here. Do not do it. Do not do it.
Yeah, do it.
They're gonna do it.
Yeah, what's the worst that can happen, right? You've got multiple members. It's a 4v3. Missing is here, maybe to lay down some poke, but it doesn't look like they'll elect to just take the drop away and make Weiwei's life a living hell.
Let's go, JDG, making good decisions on the map. Love to see it. Like I said, Haichao also going to be able to pick up a little bit of plating on the backside of this fight. Another minute until the next set of grubs are up. Now, this one's going to be very interesting. JDG, they pick up the first 3. They also roam their bot lane up to ensure that that was going to be picked up for them. Do they rotate their bot lane up again? I wouldn't be too surprised to see that, because getting all 6 grubs would be huge for a team composition with a Jax in it.
Yeah, and not only that, with this poke in the bottom lane, you're going to be able to soften up a lot of members. Like, take a look at this example. They're both backing here on LNG, are the Vi and the Ambessa, right? Later on, that poke, all of a sudden you get to stick around. You get a couple of pot shots on that turret with your auto attacks.
Yep.
Not like Ezreal is a long-range auto attacker. You're going to get so much value there. So with Vax coming through, we're seeing missing deploy on mid here. So it does look like JDG will head up, look to secure full 6 grubs, as you mentioned.
Yeah, rotating everybody up and around to this play right now. There's not too much not happening for LNG either. They are also going to bring multiple members around. Zika is in the bottom lane, does have teleport, so do Arla, so we might end up seeing a 5v5. There's no real potential flank wards too much. There's one potentially right here for LNG. I don't think anybody's really going to want to go flying in on any of these. In the 4v4, JDG would be stronger, especially if you can land a big ulti right here from Jun. Right now, for LNG, I think it's important for them to just try to at least take one of these away. Don't give over all 6.
I just don't think it's a possibility, Bloxer. There's too much vision for JDG. And one thing I really want to point out is LNG, you know, we mentioned, hey, they've got this pick comp, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, they haven't been able to action on it at all.
No.
And I think a lot of that has to do with Missing has yet to put himself in a bad spot. You know, obviously there was that fight up top where he ended up dying. He played that pretty well. Yep. But this is a guy who has been an exposable player so far. Against a pick comp, he had to be shaken in his boots, but has really done well to not get himself picked off. It's still early. It's still possible for him to have that happen, but it's encouraging. We're learning.
Yeah, in the great newspaper article we had, Missing, where is he, right? Well, actually, in this game, it looked pretty good so far. I feel like JDG are about to run this back.
It's JDG found, although we're going to see Zhuo engage. Scout's going to look to ride the wall. Jun surviving for a long enough time, but not enough damage coming down on key targets. Why did they think they had the damage for this fight? Allah teleports in, but now he's on the wrong side of the tracks with Missing. Fodek is going to land the root. Allah with the counter-strike, he's only going to be able to stun 1. And, all right, can he make the great escape? This would be absolutely incredible, but the arrow to the back takes him out.
Yeah, well, this is the other side of JDG at the moment, right? Despite the fact that the highs are high, the lows are head-scratchingly bad. Again, they go for the dive top lane, but despite the fact that the first one was a bit of a mess, they bring less members to this top lane fight. They don't set it up nearly as well. They don't have nearly as big of a minion wave to potentially look for the dive either, and so you're just getting yourself caught out right here. This isn't even a great wall. It kind of just brings everybody in. Jun gets taken out right at the very beginning of this fight, and once you lose the Skarner, that is so much of your teamfight ability just gone. And the rest of the chase down becomes very easy right here. The fact you also end up giving over the kills to some of these key carries. Photic grabs this one on a great piercing arrow right at the very end. Means it's just such a bad fight right here out of JDG. And LNG, I'm very impressed with their response to this one. They recognize that it was a terrible fight for JDG and play it out very well.
Yeah, and big shout out to Weiwei there. As soon as he saw Scout, he's like, target acquired, right on top of him to disrupt him. Really need Talia to get their feet set in a fight, start really getting these big rocks coming through on the work ground. Wasn't able to do that there, and now JDG setting themselves behind a little bit. We're even here at 13 and a half minutes. LNG, after a bit of a rough start, doing well here to ensure that they're still in the game. Yes, they did lose 6 scrubs. Yes, they lost the second dragon. Again, we are not looking for LNG to win this game, although there's potential now. We're just looking for them to use their tools well, and so far, not too bad.
Yeah, that was a decent play for them. The fact that the gold is pretty much even right here at 14 minutes, I think is an overall win for LNG. This is going to leave me with questions going forward. Let's see, LNG actually stepping up right now, feeling confident enough to be able to step to JDG's jungle, make it a little bit uncomfortable for them right now. They do need to be careful about not potentially getting pincered right here.
Haichao is having a tough time against the man whose shoes he's needed to fill. Yeah. He's got good numbers, sure. He's 3-2-3. He is going the Malignance build. But, you know, just seeing that is tough. You really need him to stand tall if LNG is to be successful.
Yeah, especially because you're going to have push from Ala. If you could also get this much push through from Scout, I mean, he's just teleported back and takes a big chunk of damage as well. It's going to make defending these side lanes so tricky. I mean, what are you going to do if you can't send just one person to deal with the Jax, and you now can't just send one person to deal with the Talia? Makes these 1-3-1s incredibly appealing and easy to play out for JDG. They are certainly not out of this game. They've not put themselves into the best spot throughout this early game. Still not going to be the end of the world. Now, anytime I'm seeing JDG in this top lane section, not again.
They've played these games before, Bloxer.
Not again.
They've played these games before. Although on the bottom side, maybe LNG can make a play. Weiwei down here. Trying to go after Ala. Going to use his ultimate. Well timed there. Perfect plays on the bottom side. Haichao not able to survive, I don't think. This is going to be tough. Zhuo is trying to link up with him. Trying desperately, but he's tethered. Has to drop his ultimate. The wave is in. They're just waiting him out now. What a predict by Scout. Haichao, like I said, Jun shared the download with Scout. Perfect predict.
Yeah, just gets caught right there. Haichao, really unfortunate. But I mean, he was stuck between a rock and a hard place. He was almost always going to die in that situation. The unfortunate thing is that's going to be first tower that ends up falling in favor of JDG. But LNG, they still get themselves a kill down in the bottom side of the map. They trade a tower back for themselves, and they keep the gold very well even. In fact, a tiny little lead for them at this point in the game. This is a very different LNG than we saw previously. Maybe they just needed the first round robin to shake off a bit of the rust, at least get themselves back into this one. Even if they lose after this early game, I'm still going to have good things to say about LNG, something I wouldn't have been able to say after the first round.
And the problem is they really don't have any control over any of these objectives, right? So Rift Herald is going to be taken by JDG. This will present a problem later on. JDG, as long as they utilize their Herald properly, they'll be in good shape. LNG is on the way. They're looking to catch Missing, the very catchable Missing, and they did it. They got him done. The man is still on the wanted poster.
Poor
Last
guy,
seen hinting on karma.
And again and again and again, it just keeps on happening. And JDG,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. They didn't even get a win against EDG, who were incredibly beatable last split as well. Yeah, just not a good look for LNG. Such a storied organization, and for it to have such a bad time. really has not been fun to see. But hey, this game, they're up in kills, they're up in gold by just a little bit. It's a pretty good look for them early on. The next big test is what can they do in these team fights, because as much as we've been talking about this being an LNG pick-based composition, and they've been playing it well like that so far, at some point you have to show up to team fights. And that point may well be in about a minute's time. We've got an Infernal Drake spawning, would be very appealing to both of these teams to grab themselves an Infernal Soul.
Yeah, and you know what? This LNG team can scrap a little bit. Their pick tools are also team fight tools, right? With the Varus ultimate, with Rel going in too. Like, this is all very good. Zika can use his to get in the middle of a fight. I mean, you know, we haven't really talked about him, but he is the guy that LNG could rely on. He's 2-0 right now. He's got 2 items. Ala hasn't really been able to do much. A 30 CS lead as well.
Yeah.
Like, if LNG, they're actually in a pretty good way to win this game. We just have seen Mbessa's miss the public execution and have a hard time getting in fights. If he lands them in the next big fight, we could see LNG maybe take full control of the game.
Yeah, but it's also easier to land the public execution if you get to do it in combination with somebody else. I don't necessarily think that Zika needs to be the person initiating the team fight. Zhou can do that. Photic can do that. Everybody on this team can do it. Combination with the Vi is incredibly strong. You can just ult in, and then the second that you know exactly where your opponent's going to be, use that public execution, and there you go. That could be a nice quick kill. Because exactly as you said, gonna be doing a lot of damage right here on this 2-item Ambessa. There's 2 items that are gonna keep him a little bit safe in these team fights, but still gonna be pretty squishy. You don't want to be sat in the backline as that initial engage.
Rift Herald got used in the mid lane for JDG. This has allowed time for LNG to go take the Dragon, their second of the game. We did see Shun show his head up on the top side. We see a lot of pings going down on the top side. Shun is going to look to catch out Zhuo, and he's going to find Zika too. This could be problematic. Zhuo's got to go over the wall. He, much like missing, has had a lot of problems, and he will fall. Scout flying through, looking to attack Zika here. He won't be able to get anything more.
So what's happening on the rest of the map right here for LNG? They've got to push onto the mid lane, and actually Photic is going to stay, try to pressure onto this tier 1 mid, and there's tier 2 pressure going down in the bottom side right now between Weiwei and Haichao. I don't know that they're actually going to be able to pick themselves up this full turret, but actually they're turning it into a little bit of a base race right now. JDG, they know they can keep pushing, yeah.
We saw this last game, but we saw it used by LGD, not to the greatest effect, but we'll lose the tier 2 in the bot lane, but no tier 2 in the mid lane that went down. Just the tier 1, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
No, the tier 1's still standing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the tier 1 does still stand in mid lane. It makes it a lot better right here for JDG, because remember in the last game, it was the tier 2 bot lane and the tier 1 mid lane that ended up falling. They didn't grab nearly as much for themselves, did LNG. But still, you don't lose the inhibitor, so it's not the end of the world to miss out onto this one. Oh, have a look back at this one. Zika should not have stepped back up, right? Just needed to keep walking. Instead, steps in, just gets tagged on the edge of that impale right there. Has to lose the flash as well. And as much as Ambessa is a highly mobile champion, having the flash is a big part of being able to actually use her in a team fight.
Yeah, you have infinite dashes in your kit, so you'd love to have one more dash, right? You know, everybody likes more dashes. But
of course,
without that,
extra
it just
positioning
means it'll be that much harder. Right now, 21 minutes into the game, still a slight gold lead for LNG. They really want to knock down one of these mid-turrets. I think both of these teams really interested in knocking them down because, you know, some people say mid-turret is fake. Some people say it opens up the map more. Blocks, are you a mid-tier 1 is fake or a mid-tier 1 is the truth kind of guy?
Mid-tier 1's the truth, absolutely it is. Especially at the moment where there's objectives left and right. If you can grab it early on into the game, if you can really pressure onto that one, even pre-Rift Herald spawning, then it completely opens the map up for you. I think later on into the game, it doesn't matter quite as much. You're much more focusing around these very coordinated objective timers. Everybody's at Baron around the same time. Everybody's at later Drakes when they spawn. But early on, I think it's definitely the truth.
Shout out Photic. Serpent's Fang completed for him. So really realizing that, hey, I'm not the guy in this game. My job is to hit ultimates and break some shields.
Yeah.
So, you know, good stuff there. We see JDG looking to get aggressive in this river, looking to just corral the jungler and the mid laner of LNG. But over in the mid lane, I mean, Photic has had a rough time too. This poke starting to weigh heavy.
Indeed it is. Now, obviously, we have seen... Hang on. Shun, is he fine? Is he fine?
He's so fast.
Every time Shun steps up, I'm worried for the lives of LNG members. But no. Atakan has been up for a little bit. Neither of the teams particularly pressuring around that one. I agree with that. I think it's so easy to throw around Atakan that it's often better to just sit and wait for a good play to happen before you go for it. Mid lane tier 1 actually is going to fall. Yeah, that last Grub's just about able to get it. It really is Grub's diff, and that does open things up. Obviously, a little bit later on into the game, not as strong as it would have been earlier. Jun, I think he can just step here. I think that's what he wants to do, at least. He thinks he can just step up at some point.
Good attempt on the seismic shelf there by Scout. Nothing doing there as the crab has been secured. 1 minute and 10 seconds until this Infernal Dragon is up. We'll see what the next move is for JDG. Because LNG, if they're able to snag this, all of a sudden they'll be on Soul Point. Infernal Soul Point, you'd love a little bit of extra damage on this composition. It'll just mean that much more for a champion like Ambessa. We saw Ambessa go crazy in a team fight a couple of days ago on the bottom side of the map after securing Infernal. It was the, I think, Breed's almost 10k team fight. So
yeah,
could see a repeat of that if that's the case.
Absolutely. And this is just so close for a matchup we're expecting to be a complete stomp. We needed this to be a stomp for JDG. We needed them to just completely dismantle LNG. I was a little bit worried, though, that they'd be looking past them. You see it all the time in these competitions where you've got 4 team groups and one of the teams just doesn't look as good. Well, you're playing everybody today. You need to prepare for everybody. So it's easy to look at LNG and go, we're just better than them. We'll move on. And then get caught out. If they lose this one for JDG, it pretty much locks them out of being that top seed. And it also completely changes things for LNG, makes it so much less likely that they're just going to be straight down into that group Nirvana. They really want this one. Weiwei getting jumped here.
Yeah, here comes Scout too. Zika is completely cut off, but Weiwei is able to flash away. Teleport coming in from Hai Chao here.
Everyone's here.
Yep, he's got that Banshee shield as the Dragon is now up. JDG complete control of the river. What can LNG do to find a way in? Pay's got chunked pretty hard there. The shields aren't going to help you out if they're not on top of you quite yet. Ping's going down, peeled back to the Dragon. It's started up. Allah looking to back, but he does have teleport. LNG looking to wade their way in this river. 6,000 HP. Weiwei over the wall, ready to go in. Down to about 4,000 as Hai Chao is up front. Misses the first charm, but has corralled himself in the pit. Allah, that teleport in is on the backside. Zico wants a way in, has his ultimate too. Down to about 3,000. It's a chess match here. Shun is stepping up. Wants to secure it, and it's secured by the Varus.
Oh, it's stolen.
And Shun whiffs his ultimate. This is LNG's time to shine. Weiwei, target's missing. Hai Chao pushes forward. Zika's dashing in because his flash is back up, and JDG are falling apart. Shun's health bar getting low, but the backside, it's Scout. It's Allah who's healthy. He hops on Zika. Scout needs to try to catch up, but the counter-strike is not going to stun. It's a double kill for the Ambessa. Can LNG escape as Scout is on his surfboard riding around, forcing the flash on a Hai Chao?
Oh, and they're still going to chase this one. Zika's actually stopped walking. They need to run away here. LNG, there's no tower to fall to.
Scout flashes over the wall looking for Hai Chao. Hai Chao catches the Ezreal ultimate. They're so low. Throw another rock at this glass house, and the seismic shove shut down for Allah.
Oh, and it looked so good for LNG until the point at which Paze just opens up the guns, is able to get so much damage down in that team fight. And despite the fact that they lose the Drake, JDG still come out on top.
Damn. LNG
I'm so excited.
So good there. All right, there's a couple things we can hang our hat on. First of all, Foden. Gumayushi cosplay.
Yeah, nice. Nice steal. Watch Zika here. Watch Zika. Whoops. Not ideal to miss the Ambessa ulti right there. Did not manage to land the public execution. Yeah, exactly like you said, landing it by itself is pretty tricky. Actually, we're on Baron at the moment. JDG, they just straight up started this one.
Picture in picture here. Because we could see another steal potentially.
Another steal.
Fodic is nearby. We see Juni's taking the blast plan over the wall. Teleport coming in for Zika here. Hai Chao. He's got to hoof it over. We see Jax over the wall, at least trying to stop the Varus. Here we go. Vi's getting into the pit, but it is suppressed. The smite is secured, and LNG are falling to pieces. Allah gets to the back line with the counter-strike. He won't even die. He goes golden, baby. And here comes the Weaver's Wall. Scout will find Fodic, but he'll get caught up in Ambessa ultimate, but he goes golden too. And LNG are just unable to do anything here. JDG finally able to crack the resolve of LNG. The inhibitor is falling and blocks her. I think this game may just be over.
Yeah, this should be the end right here. 27 minutes into the game. Zika gonna do what he can. There are respawning members. Zhu back up, 13 seconds on Weiwei. It's just not going to be enough. Zika gonna fall.
What are you doing?
He wants to get extra stats right here. And there it is, JDG. They're going to be able to step past LNG, but it was not as clean as we would have wanted.
Yeah, it was not pretty. And LNG showing some real good fight in them. Like, I respect it. It is very hard to escape the clutches of a Jax and of a Talia, especially when you're running through the jungle and Talia gets the slide around, the extra movement speed, the seismic shove in close quarters combat. You know, but because of the way they ran, that was the only way they could go. And that really sunk them, set them behind for the next play. And JDG, listen, you give them an inch, they will take a mile.
Indeed, they will. In the end, that play that ends up taking the top lane tier 2, 3, and inhibitor completely changes the game. Because if they have those towers there, you can't chase all the way through. But they don't. They've missed out on those, and it really did mean that the chase was just on for JDG. Now, this was supposed to be the easiest game of the day for JDG. They were supposed to just dismantle LNG. LNG were a speed bump, and not even particularly a big one at that. Except that's not the case. I was very impressed with LNG. I gave them the task of trying to get more than 6 kills this game. They were able to do that very easily. And they felt like they were in it until the very end. They just weren't quite able to get enough damage down. They'd fallen behind a little bit too much in a couple of lanes. But still, very impressive from LNG. And it's left me with more questions than I came in with for JDG.
Yeah, I think a couple of big things. So number one, we have Shoot on a facilitator. You know, he did miss that one ultimate in the fight where LNG started to really come back into the game. But overall, actually played a pretty good game. Scout being a facilitator as well for the team, able to move around. Maybe this is the role for him in this team. But still, a couple of problems. Ala, later on in the game, really good. Early on, not so good. Was down in CS. Was 0-2. Was not making an impact. And then missing, while they had this great poke, just caught out a couple of times still.
Yeah, unfortunately, just seems incapable of not having that happen at some point during games. Like, just love stepping up in situations where you're like, why? Like,
if we have a second, can we pull exactly everything we saw on missing for the newspaper graphic? I don't know if we still have the opportunity to do that, because we got to see, you know, every little detail about this man. All right. Date of birth, 5/26/2001. Age 24. Eyes brown, hair brown. Yeah, that's definitely him. Don't know his height because he sits a lot. He was heavy AF in Split 1. Kind of heavy in this game.
Yeah.
And last seen now inting his face off on Leona. Perhaps a couple of times on Park.
Yeah, I mean, it's been such an interesting split right here for Missing, where it's been, hey, the Nico game was great. That was a good look.
Yeah.
Every other game, especially on these slightly squishier champions, the engage ones where he's being asked to step up a little bit more, there's been some question mark pings coming through from me at least. Hopefully he's going to be able to clean that one up, because as much as having a support that dies a little bit too much, it's not the thing that's going to sink JDG right here. But once they come up against better opponents, once they play against, I don't know, a team like IG, all of a sudden, things start looking worse for this team. If you can't find ways to get vision for your team without also giving them a kill every time, well then you simultaneously are giving them extra gold, and your team still doesn't have the vision that you potentially need to play these team fights out. It's been a little bit rough for JDG's bot side so far. That being said, in this game, unfortunately for LNG, it didn't matter.
And take a look at the damage spread. While the KP was low for Fodic certainly putting in work. Big respect to him and a tough game to play. Bloxer, I have to ask you, Skarner, they left it open, did LNG. We said it could have been a mistake. I think it was, although it wasn't like, wow, look at all these Skarners that never die. I think June played admirably on it. What do you think? Do you think that was a large reason of the loss here, or do you think it would have happened on any other champion?
I don't think the Skarner was the problem. I wouldn't go so far as to say it wasn't a problem. It's so strong. You saw it here. A couple different impales were massive. Just the amount of time he was able to spend being tanky, getting ganks off in the mid lane. The predict was gorgeous as well. But think about what they got for it, right? You get yourself the Vi, very strong, ended up actually having a very good look on it for Weiwei during the early stages of the game. You get yourself the Varus. Like I said, Vodek had a great game on it, and I think the Varus one of the strongest things that you were able to get. They traded it for 2 power picks. I understand the place of giving the Skarner over in the draft. It just unfortunately does still kind of feel like Red Side needs to be getting rid of it.
Yeah. You know, I look through some of these replays and I'm like, wow, you know, LNG, they did look like a competent team. They looked like a team that could escape Nirvana, perhaps. You know, maybe perhaps the headline could be incorrect. And, you know, I would venture to say, I think they played a bit of a better game than LGD played against IG. Do you feel the same? Because I think it was kind of similar in both sides.
Yeah, I think both of the teams showed a decent performance versus what are much better opponents. But I would agree, actually, this game felt a lot closer for a lot longer than it did. Unfortunately for LGD, there was a good 10 minutes of that game where I was like, right, it's done. We're closing things up, but, you know, the Nexus hasn't fallen. It still feels like it's well on its way. Whereas it was right up until the very end of this one where I was like, there's a chance. LNG still seem like they're kind of involved in this one. They're still finding kills. The team fights were all messy in a good way for LNG. And the fact is that LGD are pretty good at throwing mid-game leads. Something LNG, they haven't really even been able to get themselves mid-game leads so far. If they play an early game like this, I could see an upset happening there.
All right, so now we got to start asking who the MVP was, because I've been watching these replays, dude. I think Scout played out of his mind this game. Yeah. His seismic shoves, his Weaver's walls, like, you know, that seismic shove right there as he got hit by the Ambessa ult just to force High Chow out of there. Like, I think dude played a really, really good game.
Yeah, he was doing work for the team. The seismic shoves were just constantly catching people, which oftentimes in big, messy team fights is a little bit easier to hit them, as we've been saying. But at the same time, there are a lot of champions with decent tools to try to get away from the seismic shoves, and it just didn't matter. And the cutoffs with the ulti as well, it was really well done. Everybody played an okay game, other than Missing, who was getting himself caught a little bit, but still, twice. Okay, you know what? It's once less than I think he did on the Leona. Like that's an improvement. We take small wins nowadays.
He's gone from really bad to not as bad. The Scout does get the MVP for this game. Well deserved. Big damage share. Obviously, the numbers are pretty gaudy, but I mean, this guy has continuously been one of the best, and he sticks a dagger in the heart of his former team. That's just cold-blooded, man.
It really is. An incredibly well-played game out of Scout, and we're excited to see what he can do throughout the rest of today, because he's going to be a critical part of JDG. If they want any hope of being able to take down IG, he's going to have to step up. It's a tough matchup to play up against IG, but still, incredibly impressive performance from him in this one.
And we're going to have to see him step up to IG, because when we come back from our break, it is the matchup that I'm sure everybody has been waiting for this evening. IG versus JDG coming at you real soon.
Take a moment right here, feeling like it's out gear. Driving towards the sun with a rose and a gun. Feel the wind in my hair, going nowhere, I swear. Like an outlaw on the run, dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running. Told my boss that I'm done. Had no luck with my mom. Say, what will you do with your life? You know it's hard to survive. A cigar in my mouth. Maybe guilty but proud. Now I'm an outlaw on the run. Dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running.
Welcome back, everybody, to the 2025 LPL Split 2 placements. And as I mentioned before we went to break, the matchup of the night that everybody's been waiting for. Really, two domestic titans going head-to-head, and IG and JDG. JDG looking to reverse their fortunes from the first time these guys played, because, man, Bloxer, it was bad.
It was bad. It was not a good time the first time around. JDG got... I feel like demolished is the nice way of saying it. I mean, we were laughing. Yeah,
they looked like IG young. That's how stunned they were.
It was bad. We were talking about LNG. Yeah, they only got 6 6 whole kills previously versus, well, JDG got 4. It was 4 kills for them.
Tough.
And it was a really rough day at the office for them up against IG. And as much as IG have actually looked a little bit shaky in a couple of their matchups we saw earlier, you know, it was pretty close up against LGD for them for quite a while in that game. This is the most competent, this is the most dominant that we've seen IG play throughout the entirety of this second split placements right here, was up against JDG.
Yeah, and you know, it wasn't perfect in their earlier game, right? So maybe they just turn it on because, hey, we're playing against JDG again. Like, this is really where we're going to be battle tested, iron sharpens iron type deal. So going to be looking for IG and JDG, both of these teams, to kind of like snap back into themselves and be like, okay, these are the teams that we expect to really compete domestically and potentially go and be representatives at internationals.
Yeah, exactly. These teams need to show up in a big way versus each other. This is a big matchup for both of these teams for different reasons, right? IG, they've already locked themselves into the top 2. They have no threat of going into Team Nirvana right now. So we can see right here.
Yippee!
Congratulations to them. I don't feel like they were ever particularly worried about that as a possibility, but it feels good to lock it. If JDG were to win this matchup, they would then put themselves tied. They would also lock the top 2, so the top 2 would be unattainable for the other teams in this group, and then it would come down to timing. If they were to win all their other games, but just beat each other 1-for-1, it would come down to game times. 32-56 was the win for IG versus JDG in the first round. If they were able to do it a little bit quicker, then JDG could actually get themselves out of Group D as the top seed. Not something we would have particularly expected coming in. So big implications for everybody in this group in this matchup, beyond it just being an awesome one to watch in general.
Yeah, and I'm sure, you know, as we've said, JDG is going to want to get that one back. And, you know, to do so, we're going to need some strong play out of the top lane specifically. Our featured matchup for this game, Allah and the Shy. You take a look at the champion pools between these two guys. With Allah, it's quite a bit wider, right? But
oh yeah,
the difference between, you know, having to deal with lane swaps and not, the Shy has looked a lot better.
Indeed, it was a significantly nicer look for the Shy. In that previous game especially, that Gwen was a great play for him. So, you know, one more champion that they are sharing between the pools. In the previous matchup, the Shy ended up playing the Renekton and Allah played the Gnar. And this was what was the only bright spot right here for JDG. Allah was actually able to go pretty well toe-to-toe up against the Shy, was able to keep it close enough, and was a lot of the team's success that happened early on. It was the rest of the map that were really falling apart, and so in this game, I wonder if JDG want to put even more resources top plus side, really try to play around Allah and see if he can carry them to victory.
Yeah, and it could be a little difficult because he is playing against his former jungler, JJ, and... Listen, we've talked about how like sometimes you can download people's play. JJ is going to know Allah very, very well. You know, they were solid domestically in 2023 when they were on EDG together. So, listen, this is an opportunity here for, you know, JJ to give the Shy, hey, listen, I know the sauce on this guy. Let's go take him out. Let's set him behind exactly like the last game that they just played against LNG, right? And then, listen, we're better than LNG. We can just kind of run away with things.
Yeah, exactly. As it does look like we are going to start onto the draft right here. I like the look of that man right here out of JDG. Just get rid of the Skarner. Let's
Well done.
not be dealing with that right now. Also, the Kalista and the Renekton going to come off of the board. 2 very strong pickups, especially the Kalista at the moment. It's just been terrorizing people in the bot lane.
Yeah, and I mean, you want to put them in the hands of either of these 80 carries? Like,
No.
I think both teams are just better off. You know what?
Yeah.
Let's not
We'll
play
play
this
someone else.
one, guys, because
Yeah.
the 80 carries are probably salivating. Like, yes, I will take over the game at this point. You know, it's 2 very storied players. Gala with a long-term success, Pays with a more recent success, and, you know, want to give him a big shout-out. There was a lot of questions on whether or not he was going to be able to play at a high level here in the LPL, and while JDG has had some issues, it feels like it's been Pays who's the guy that has kept them stable.
Absolutely, although not so much in the previous matchup. That was one that was a little bit rougher for them to play out. So we'll see if that's going to be another place to really try to play around, because Gala has already started his day incredibly well. Just had a dominant performance in the first game of the day. Shy immediately going to lock in this chase, feeling confident right now, isn't worried. As much as we've been hyping Arla up, clearly thinks that this is going to be an okay matchup. Can also go into the mid lane if you do want to move things around a little bit. But straight up, I think we're just going to get our top lane matchup slammed in the first 2 picks of this draft.
Yeah, honestly, if I see the Gwen lock in here, this shows to me that Gwen should just be like on the level of Ambessa. And it's just like, maybe you should just be banning this champion or first picking this champion all the time. Not quite sure. We are going to see them shift into the Vi, but I still imagine that we'll see a top lane pick come out here, and it will indeed be the Gwen.
Yeah. And let's see what Arla can do with this one, because he has had so many impressive performances on this champion. It's definitely one of his best looks. The Shy also had a good play on it earlier on today, so clearly both of these top laners are very comfortable. They're going to know this matchup well, and it could well be explosive. If any top lane matchup is going to result in solo kills, this could be the one. We are going to get to see the Sejuani locked in right here. Jhin has obviously got the Vi, one of the strongest junglers at the moment, but JJ has looked brilliant on this Sejuani. Is actually what he played in the previous matchup as well. We are flying through this draft.
Yeah, I also find it really interesting that we're pairing the Sejuani with 1 range and a half a melee, right?
Yeah.
It's not something you typically see. You typically see the triple melee suite come out of your top side. Now, you will still have great dive potential. I think that Sejuani and Talia are going to be a really potent duo for these guys to deal with, but I think JDG, they're just kind of throwing down the gauntlet here. We locked in the Rise here for Scout, so they're just like, hey, man, we're going to show up to this game, and we're going to try to ball out.
Yeah, I mean, the Rise has been coming up quite a lot recently. After not seeing it in competitive play for years and years, all of a sudden it's been popping off. Although in the last couple of games that I've watched it, I haven't been too impressed. I've felt like it wasn't able to actually get too much done. Into this Talia matchup, you should be pretty safe. You can farm yourself up to the point at which you're useful, but it's what can you do with these realm warps? Both of these mid laners have got much more utility-based ultimates than just trying to deal damage, and they can be a little bit tricky to use. We know that Rookie can be great with this Talia. Let's see what Scout can do to really be able to match that one. And once again, we're getting bot laners and supports being taken in the second half of a draft.
Yeah, we still have at least an Ashe on the table here, you know, to bring that utility. It feels like JDG is going to need some of this utility to come through. You've got the Rune Prison, sure, but outside of that, it's only the Vi that's able to lock things down. I like this ban of the Kaisa as well because, you know, when you have the Talia and the Sejuani, it gives you an extra dive buddy. Obviously, Gala's Kaisa, you know, we saw him earlier in the day perform quite well. So good to see that off the board.
Yeah, you really don't want to allow Gala to just style on you with that pickup right here. But there's still plenty of these very good ADCs still up and available. Things like the Ezreal that's been so much of a focus. Yeah, they're just going to take that one off of the board. So maybe we'll get to see something a little bit more aggressive. That's what I want right now. I would like to see them just go for something that can be a bit more of a playmaker. Obviously, the Draven's been hovering on the edges of a lot. I'd be surprised if we see that one. Xayah as well available. But we could just get a little bit more of a late game focus. Jhin is absolutely fine at the moment and still is the Jinx.
All right, we'll see that Jhin come through. So good CC there. It's not quite the Ashe, but that's totally fine. Pays does mean that we'll have a little bit of less early agency, but if this game goes a little long, every auto attack could be hitting as hard as a fourth shot. We all know what happens when Jhin gets really, really fed. If IG want to just lock in this misfortune and then slam Morel, you can. You'll just have to contend with an Alistar.
Yeah, I mean, the Alistar is going to be the lock-in if you take the role right now, but it would make sense. It works very well alongside the Sejuani. Other engaged support options are still available, though. Just take it away? I mean, you can. It doesn't work so well as a combo right here. You're kind of, you know, 4D chessing yourself out of the better combination, but it does avoid all of the issue of just kind of getting taken out by the Alistar. It really does ruin what the Rel wants to do. Missing, we've had big questions about this man so far. He's the one in this game that has had kind of the worst performances overall. What does he want to take right here? I'd like something with a lot of mobility because it would make it a little bit easier for him to not get caught out. And in fact, it is going to be the Rakan as the lock-in right here. Yeah, that's the kind of mobility that we would like to see. And it works well alongside the Jhin to try to keep it safe. This is very interesting in how different these compositions are from each other.
The question is it enough to tie the room together, Bloxer? Because, like, sure, you have this Rakan and this Vi, and they're really great at diving, but guess what? This Talia will cause problems. Rakan will fly in, he will be micro-stunned, he will be headbutt pulverized, he is not tanky, he will just melt, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're down a man, and missing with the way he's been playing, a lot of questions here are going to be presented coming into this matchup, because Bloxer, I think that, and I know it's just best of ones, and I don't want to overreact, but if JDG do not win here, I think that we might not be able to call them a consistent top 4 team. And I know they just were in the last split too, which is crazy to think about, because we're starting to see some teams level up here.
Yeah, absolutely. IG very much one of those teams who's been looking better and better and better as this series has gone on, as this second split has been playing out. And JDG, they need to put themselves on the map with this one. They've got an odd composition, though. The Rise, I feel like it doesn't quite fit in with what you're trying to do elsewhere. And we were talking in the previous game, right, about how Rakan, as much as it is squishy, you can play it a little bit more defensively, trying to just help out your ADC if you've got other tanks and other engage options going on forwards. Well, if you don't go in with Jun right here, the Vi just dies. And then you've lost your jungler potentially around an objective. This JDG composition from ahead with the ability to move around so much will be great, but from behind just doesn't have tools.
Like we said earlier, they got to ball out. So we hear the gyros ring out.
And we are actually going to get 5 members right here of IG moving their way up towards the top side of the map, potentially trying to catch somebody out. Missing did manage to get a ward down. Don't step there. Don't walk there right now, Missing. You cannot get caught out within the first 45 seconds of the game. That would be a new record, surely.
Guys, you need to leave. You will be detected lane swapping. Don't do it. Straight to jail.
Do not pass go. Do not collect 200.
How do you feel about
Love it.
the lane swap restrictions? Do you think that
Gorgeous.
they need to stay this way? Because there is some talk of, eventually pulling back on them a little bit. I think that stuff in at least the next patch on PvE to, I would like to see lane swaps maybe be like a 1 in every 10 games kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, they needed to change something. This feels very much like a Band-Aid fix, but it was very welcome at the point at which it came in. I was incredibly bored of the lane swaps and happy to see them gone. But yeah, I think they're going to have to pull back on the restriction being implemented as it is, because it's way too harsh. It's way too much prescribing the way that the game has to be played, which I feel like shouldn't be the way that things are. It's prescribed through what feels like it's the best rather than a big text box popping up on your screen. No, not allowed to do that.
Seeing the jungler start on opposite sides of the map here. We'll see if Shun pays an early visit up top. And if you don't, JJ makes hay on a play, then that could be really bad news, because this top lane could be very volatile, Bloxer, with the way these champions are and how they can snowball the game if they get ahead.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw in the first matchup from IG earlier on that despite the fact that Shy had a lot of pressure put onto him, he was still able to pop off in this game. The Jace, another champion that can do just that. We've seen what the Gwen can do with even a disadvantage in lane. So yeah, I would love to see these junglers head up towards there at some point. For right now, it is IG who would be more likely to have that happen. Already very low health bars available to them. You can see that Arla already put a ward down. He knew not to put himself into a vulnerable position.
Shun pathing away from him. You see JJ heading up to the top side, so that'll be spotted out. He's well aware this is happening. Ala will have to back off. JJ. All right, I thought he was going to get in there and just be like, all right, man, I don't care that a ward's there. I'm just going to go super deep, right? It seemed like a silly move, perhaps.
Yeah, the level 3 dive would have definitely been a little bit too aggressive, although actually the pings are coming back through and Arla is pretty dang low.
Just expired. We do see the Shy is running for his life. He's got to flash away.
Oh, no.
And Ala wins the 1v1. The question is, can he escape? The answer is
no, absolutely not. The second that you get hit right there by the Arctic Assault, it is just going to be a kill going on over. But this is the thing with the top lane matchup. So volatile. And Ala going to come back to lane with way more in his back pocket. You can see actually going a little bit more defensive, getting himself some pots, a little bit of armor. Whereas it is going to be the tier for the Shy. This matchup is probably going to continue to be explosive. Solo kills are such a rarity, it feels like, in both top and mid lane nowadays. But this matchup definitely going to be ripe for those sorts of plays. And what ends up happening here? You have to imagine the Shy just steps up. He thinks he can bait it in. He's got his jungler in the area, but yeah, he just decides to stick around a little bit too long. This is now the second game in a row where the Shy has ended up dying early on. Didn't affect him last time.
Good play on Rookie. Hold on. Rookie, run. Get out of there. Wait a minute. You're on the wrong side. He's going to flash over this wall. He will burn Scout's flash at the very least. The Rise will be able to catch up. He did indeed get those tattoos in Rune Prism. It's a kill for Scout.
Yeah, it was on the wrong side of the map right there, and that is now going to be 2 kills here for JDG. It was only the response kill out of IG that we saw. This is the JDG that we really wanted to see, because remember, just in the previous game, they ended up getting taken to task by LNG. Exactly what you'd like, and this is what we missed. The start of this play, it's a questionable teleport right here out of Rookie. Really unfortunate, because Rookie had a brilliant game in the previous one. Was looking so strong, really able to carry IG through it, and alright. Well, not going to be ideal. Oh well, moving on from that one. A look at the rest of the map. We've obviously got a Drake spawned at the moment. First set of grubs not available quite yet. Will be very soon though. And with all of the pressure that IG are able to put through the top lane right now, could well try for that one. Although the Shy might just be getting himself killed here again. He's in the area. He's at least going to have to recall.
Yeah, Shun is up here. He will spot out this Warden. How big would Grubs be for JDG, right? You have the Rise, you have the Gwen, 2 really insane side laners, right? And if you're IG, it's like, well, we need to try to take some away. I don't think you could just give them all away. The Shy is bearing down on Allah, can't catch up. And very fortunate there, as now both junglers are near the top side. Meanwhile, Rookie and Scout. Rookie wanting a little bit of revenge there. Missing roaming on his way up. He's completely cut off from his team. He needs to link up with Scout. He should be okay.
Yeah, he's all right. Just about going to be able to walk this one off. But you can see just how many people are around this middle lane right now. Where are the junglers going to go, though? That's going to dictate where the rest of the teams are moving towards. We've got both the Drake and the Grubs up and available. Like you said, the Grub's going to be way more important here for JG than for IG. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to pick that one up. IG more than well aware of this fact, moving straight on towards them.
Yeah, more than happy to have them, because, you know, the Shy at least can make really good use of them. So you're like, hey, you know what? We don't want to give these up. Hey, we took them too, and we can actually use them. I think nothing is worse than when you take the Grubs as a takeaway, because it's like, man, like we spent all this time and invested all this effort and couldn't do much, but they're looking to make a play onto Allah. Scout and Missing are here to try to protect their top laner, but the engage is on to Scout, who's down to half. Allah's just trying to clear the wave right now. Another good seismic shove, and Jeja has made his way up here. Mako is ready to go. The ignite is on Allah. Mako is tanking it up, and Allah is burning, but he lives on just a sliver. He's still alive after the shock blast. What? He's still alive after a seismic shove. Rookie's the one who gets knocked up, but they manage to get on top of Scout and take him out. And Weaver's wall comes flying through. Rookie will live. It's a disaster for JDG in the top lane.
This specific spot in the top lane is JDG's kryptonite. They need to stop being here. Obviously, this is a play from IG that works eventually, although it takes a very long time for it to actually come to fruition. Still, it's going to be a good advantage out of IG, although they do need to run a little bit right now. Wishun in the area could potentially get jumped onto if they outstay their welcome. And in the end, it's going to be a small advantage over to IG. Watch Allah in this play, though, because he's trying to get things done on this side of the fight. Clears out all of the minions, which is so incredibly important, and it's a big part of why he's actually able to survive, because the final minion falls at some point in this fight. There it goes, and now you can't step up anywhere near as easily. The minion wave is pouring in so slowly. It's a ton of time invested here out of IG, and they don't get that much for it in the end.
Yeah, Mako had a really nice flash and got pulverized there, so good to really get in range to disrupt what was going on there. Yeah, he took away the kill, but hey, listen, supports need some love too.
Oh yeah.
As Missing has been really aggressive on the Rakan this game. I think that's a, you pointed out a champion that can get you to safety a little bit more. Yeah. And he's taking full advantage. He knows, I should never die, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he's playing aggressively enough that it's helping buy a little bit of extra space for his team. Now, interesting thing for these compositions is that as much as the early game is impactful, it's going to be these team fights that really change things. And the way that these bot laners, who have been left pretty much alone, hang on, our top laners, they hate us talking about anybody else. The second we try to focus on another lane in this one, they're just going to fight. The way that these bot laners...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry,
go on. No, you...
The way these bot lanes want to play out their fights is completely different, right? A Jhin wants a long extended fight where you're able to get 4 shots of your autos and then sit far enough back that you can just ulti your way through. Whereas it's completely different, yeah, right here.
Turnabout is fair play.
Exactly.
All right, we're 0 for 2. We're 0 for 3. My man is Ben Simmons at the free throw line, baby. 0 for 4 pays. Come on.
Nah, Gala's got the fancy feet. We saw it in the previous game as well on the Kai'Sa, was constantly dodging away from everything that was being thrown at him, was able to pick up the win for IG pretty much single-handedly in that one, and once again showing off his skills, still feeling comfortable enough actually to be able to sit in and take this wave away. And actually, in comes Mako. Can they go for a return play on this one? Nah, not quite. Pays without the ulti could potentially be under threat in the next 5 minutes though.
Yeah, in the end, you know, we didn't talk about what was traded. Gala burns his barrier, but Pays has to flash. These two summoners are not equivalent. They're both real good, but if you ask me, I think AD carry would be like, yeah, give me flash. Like, I really want to get out of any bad scenario. So, gonna have to keep an eye on that right now as we're just over the 10-minute mark. Second set of grubs coming up in about 20 seconds. We see a lot of pings coming down from IG on their resets. 3 men strong, headed to the mid.
They're going to be looking towards these grubs most certainly. If they can get all 6 for themselves, as much as we were talking about JDG being able to use them to great benefit, so can IG. And they're going to have the fast track towards them. You can see Jun is in the area. He's taking his grubs away, not going to be able to get here right at the very start. You can at least get 2 of these grubs of the 3. Even if you give 1 over to Jun, still a massive win right here for IG.
And JJ going to be unbothered here in his lane, or his jungle in this case, thriving, moisturized, taking out grubs. We do see Shun. They're going to come in on the mid lane here. He's going to clear out the pink ward with his team. JJ will be forced off this last grub, but that is totally fine. 5 to 1.
Oh.
Here comes a Realm Warp on the other side. The Shy already has to flash. Nice catch here by the side of JDG.
I love that out of JDG. They recognize that they're not going to be able to make a play elsewhere, but they use the ulti to great effect, and being able to pick up another kill right there onto the Shy, giving RLM more time to do what he needs to in these lanes. Really well played, and it's the turnaround that we expect out of this team.
Yeah, you can see Allah's finally starting to get some damage here. He's got a Fiendish Codex. He's got an Amp Tome. Yeah, you know, I love this. Thank you for the stat here. He is still the Shy. You know, everybody, there's another name that you could call him that's a little bit of profanity that I'm not going to say here. But this is just standard the Shy gaming.
Yeah.
If you're new to watching the LPL, my dude does this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen him on the international stage ever, then either he is 0-6 or he's just made your entire region the saddest people alive. He really is so coin flippy, but honestly, as much as he dies, he can still make it work in these fights so very often. Right now, though, he's just going to be in the top side. The rest of the team going to be around this Ocean Drake, picking this one up. Meaning Drakes are now going to be 1 apiece. Next couple are going to be incredibly important. No Drake stacking available, though. So, teams just going to head back to their lanes, keep things a little bit chill. It really has been a very quiet game out of the bot lane. It's so quiet that they had to engage on each other. There weren't even supports around. It feels like these two have pretty much been by themselves the entire time. Absolutely fine for them. But once we get into these team fights, that's where both of these champions are really going to pop off. There is very much, as I was highlighting earlier, the team fight speed is what's going to determine this. If JTG are able to slow down the team fight and allow multiple rotations of Jhin shots of that ulti to go through, wonderful. If IG can get that quick fight that they're really looking for, where a seismic shove into that bullet time can happen all at once, then the fight should be straight up over, and they're going to win those ones.
Yeah. Even perform some abstract concepts by, you know, using the Weaver's Wall and the bullet time in tandem to cut people off a certain way.
Exactly.
Certainly a possibility. 2 minutes and 20 seconds to the Rift Herald. Now, I think that one is going to be supremely important, as Allah has found the Shy. He has found Mako. He has to flash away from this. as they are putting the pressure on this side laner. See, the Shy has already completed a Maul of Malmortius.
Yeah, he's in a pretty okay spot considering what happened so far, as actually the rest of JG are going to Rife, decide not to go in all the way, potentially didn't actually know how many members of JGG were in the area right here. Scout had gone back to base, so they couldn't guarantee that he wasn't walking down towards the bottom lane to make a play there. Instead, he is just heading towards the top side, trying to keep... Oh no, missing. Oh, he's fine.
He's fine!
I was so worried he'd had that actually cancelled. I was like, not again. There's no way.
I'd like to know if
got
this
me
is the
worried.
longest missing has gone without dying in a game so far this season.
This split?
Is-
Almost certainly.
Yeah, like, I'm proud of him, you know?
Yeah.
Sure, it's riding the bike with the training wheels on, but still, like, you know, he's not falling over. Listen, I'm going to admit this in front of however many people are watching. I fell too many times with the training wheels, and kid me decided, no more. I do not ride bikes.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I would like to think that right now Missing is going to be doing slightly better with his training wheels on. Rakan, such an easy to escape with champion, and hasn't really been called on too much to go in. The only play where he really needed to was that top lane play using the Realm Wrought from Scout. Such a well-coordinated play out of JDG, and he hits the ground entrance incredibly well. So far, very impressive. He made it 15 whole minutes into a game without getting caught, without even dying in a legitimate way for a support.
All right, this Rift Herald, it's going to be up in about 40 seconds here. You can see the team is posturing. 5 Grub Rift Herald going to be really strong, especially IG up, not, 600 gold, right? Not a whole lot. A Rift Herald, a well-placed, well-timed one, can break open an entire game, Bloxer. You know this. I know this. IG knows this, but they've moved it down and are maybe looking to make a play bot side.
Oh, they are. They're going to teleport in as well. They are looking to take out Arla right here. He's getting back towards the tower.
All right, the Hollowed Mist, but Mako's in the mist, and you can't miss that headbutt. Rookie will get the kill, and now the 5 Grub pushes on.
And this is what you can do with this composition, right? And actually, ulti going to come through out of Gala to just be able to clear out this minion wave. Should be able to stop this one from going down. Turret does fall right here for IG, and such a good proactive play out of them. The kind of thing you can also do here as JDG with Scout's ulti, and haven't been able to do it again since they went to the top side.
Yeah, let's see if they're going to go for it. It looks like JDG is going to back off because they feel like they may need to answer the Shy.
They get nothing for this.
I don't, they just peeled off of this. I'm not quite sure why. Scout will be able to take this top turret, but, Gala's missing his ultimate. So why not just fight?
The Shy's hitting a tier 2. Like, as much as, you get the top lane tier 1, it takes so long for Scout to be able to do that you end up losing out onto this top lane tier 2. The Shy now going to have to turn tail and run. Is actually going to be able to get away from the situation, and you'd lose very little for that play. Great map rotation.
We're going all in on the Shy here. Pays is on his way. He is sprinting. The Shy with a nice flash and knock him back. All right, can you land them all?
The feet.
You hit one. Come on, dude. You have to hit this guy. Shun says, brother, give me the rock. I'm just going to dunk on his head.
Yeah, just goes straight on in onto that one. Loses a flash for it. That's going to be a pretty big engage tool, because you see the jungler right here for JDD down in the bottom lane. IG, they're going to head straight on towards this Rift Tower. Going to be able to pick this one up nice and easily. Question for me is what's going to happen about this Drake. Drake spawning in a couple of seconds time. You are closer to it right now, Ajun, but with no friends in the area, I'd be very surprised if he's able to start this one up straight away.
I'll at least will trade back on the bottom side, but I mean, this is just such a positive play for IG. Up over 1,000 gold now, and this is what happens when you give up the 5 grubs. It's very difficult, right? Because, Scout doesn't really start hitting a big peak on Rise until about this time. Sure, you've got the early game power of the Vi, but not too much more. So JDG, they did have to bide their time a little bit. They're now heading down to this dragon, but they're looking to make a big play onto Pays, and it will pay off. It is Gala claiming a shutdown. That's a CS shutdown, by the way.
Oh yeah, CS shutdown is crazy, but Gala grabbing it is especially good. Has also got that Bloodthirster completed, so is in a very strong position at the moment. The Jin gonna need a couple more items to be as useful as Gala is right now. The mid lane, tier 1, gonna be cracked open. This is nice and early to be able to grab this one. Will really unlock. And look at the grubs right now.
Twitch chat,
of them.
That's you guys. That's you, Twitch chat, helping out, taking out that turret. Good stuff here from IG as they peel back onto this dragon.
They're just better on their map rotations right now, despite the fact that both teams have got the tools to be able to use heavy rotation. I mean, you've got a Rakan and a Ryze, for goodness sake. That's the kind of composition that should be rotating incredibly proactively. As Rookie, you can only take yourself on your ulti as a rotation. Scout can take everybody else with him, but we've only gotten to see that play once, and everything else has been very much IG making the proactive plays. You can see it set up right here, and that's a from alley-oop right there. Just gorgeous between them. And they're going to be able to pick up that kill nice and easily, and off of the back of that one, they then use it so effectively.
Yeah, that's a real back-breaking play right there. The mid-game plays that you see a team make to really open up a gold lead, because now it's a 2,000 gold lead for IG, and of course it had to be on Pays, a guy who, you know, has played really well for JDG to start the year, and you know, had a rough go at it. And he's having another rough go at it here. I mean, not too much agency on the Jhin. You know, we talked about later on in the game, he'll be doing a lot, but like at this point in time, not too much.
Oh yeah, really is just going to need to get further on into this game. You need to be careful, JDG, to not fall too far behind at this point. They're only down by about 2,000 gold. It's not the end of the world at the moment, but still, they haven't exactly been able to Drake stack. They haven't gotten themselves all of the grubs that they could have potentially played around. Instead, everything's been coming up IG so far. Game's going to stall out a little bit at the moment. With just Atakan up and available, it can be something you really want to go try to play around, but at the same time, very easy to throw at this objective. Instead, I think these teams are going to chill out a little bit more until we get to the next Drake in 3.5 minutes and the Baron in 4, unless, of course, somebody steps too far forwards and allows a pick potential.
And I wonder if JDG is going to feel a little pressured to play toward this Otacon. We've seen Gwen is really good at taking Otacon. Ryze gives you a solid amount of damage on it too. So they might find a scenario where they're like, hey, let's go and take this. But it's just so dangerous, because if IG doesn't opt into it, they can just be like, yo, we're going to split push, man. We have 5 grubs. We do not care.
Yeah, they can just make these map rotations hurt more and more for JDG than JDG have any hope to be able to do at this point in the game. It makes it so rough to try to play around. Now, you can see a lot of people from both teams are going to be in the area towards this Atakan. Are you going to start it up quite yet? You would take it incredibly quickly right here, as both JGG and IG, if they decide to hit onto it. But, you know, Atakan also hits like a truck. You don't want to expose yourself. Oh, Gala. Oh, his spidey senses were tingling. Maybe missing sprinting at him with the ulti up made it a little bit obvious.
Yeah, I think that he was ready for Scout to maybe flash over the wall.
Yeah.
But he held that, and, you know, just makes Missing look really silly. And they know that this teamfight ultimate is down, so perhaps a window for IG.
Yeah, I mean, the way that IG are playing right now, they're not giving many opportunities over to JDG. And the fact that you don't take that, you don't just go for that play. Nico might get caught here, but still very tanky, especially with JJ backing him up right now. These two can buy a lot of space. Yeah, just insta ults. Vault Breaker ready. Everybody was expecting Scout to go.
All right, we're going to engage onto JJ here. Just to clear out some vision. Not really a whole lot of damage, so these are okay. But really looking for, you know, IG to start being a little bit more proactive here because of the scaling mid lane and the scaling top lane for JDG. Okay?
Ooh,
we are seeing proactivity. The engage is there. Missing had been once again caught out, but he will survive. JDG will not opt into the fight yet, but maybe so. Jun steps up. Allah steps up. Mako is low, but the rocks are out.
I mean, missing the initial engage right here for IG isn't great. Interesting.
They send 3 over, and they've realized the Shy is here, but here comes Rookie to cut off the
Pays is
squad.
caught again.
They've engaged on the way to Pays. Pays will fall the bullet time. Not going to do much, but on the other side of the fight, it's the Shy. Mako with a huge 3-man knockup to buy some time. Gala joins the fight. The Shy will live. Allah will fall, and Scout will only be able to get the 1. No, he'll find the 2nd because he's going sicko mode, but he ends up going down anyway. And it's IG coming up aces.
I mean, Scout, he saves JDG right there from it being a clean ace into Atakan, but still, 5 kills are going to go over there. Atakan will be picked up right here for IG, and the team fight all comes off the back of a just gorgeous catch right here onto Pays. Pays once again misses the Realm Warp, and the second that he doesn't catch the bus, everybody on IG recognizes that, collapses in onto this one. Scout does do a good job here of at least being able to turn it around, but it was the 3-man knockup that really sets up the Shy and Nico to be able to buy enough time. The thing is, the reason that you're able to get a couple of the kills back right here is that Gala has to spend time walking up into the Hallowed Mist to make sure he can actually do damage, and that stops him from just being able to hit onto people for enough time for Scout to be able to do a little bit of something. Still, it's barely anything. It's a drop in the bucket of what was a massive win for IG.
Pays has had a really hard time this game. That was just disgusting. As soon as they see, oh, hey, Pays is right there, Gala's chasing him down, they know he's dead, and they are saying, hey, man, listen, we do things differently here in the LPL. As IG looking to put themselves on Infernal Soul Point.
Yeah, indeed, and IG, they're looking good so far in this group. Now, the group had some question marks going in. IG had some question marks going in. Gotta be honest, their previous game looked a lot rougher for them than this matchup right here up against JDG. That's not a good spot for JDG to be in, as it is just going to be the push on forwards towards this tier 2 in the mid lane. The Baron is up and available for IG when they want to go back and try play around this one. For the minute, they don't even need it to be cracking towers in the face of the opponents.
And I must say, Bloxer, this IG, I think that with this game here and the way they played so far, that they might not be a mirage. I think that this is them replicating how good they have been in this current stage in the split 2 placements.
Yeah.
This is a team that you now need to watch out for. This is a team that we could certainly see at MSI if they keep it up.
Absolutely, and it's the individual pieces really coming together. As much as we've been worried a little bit about a full identity for them in the same sort of way as JDG, Gala's been popping off, Rookie's been popping off, the Shy has been drawing so much attention. Yeah, he's died 4 times, but he's still been useful in these team fights. Something can be tricky to do. Jun getting jumped. He's going to get stunned here.
He is going to try to get some help from his Rise, and he will. We'll be able to Realm Warp him out of there. But that is a cooldown that you will not get to use.
Yeah, that's a huge cooldown to just save one member. Now, you can't let Jun die right there. The second that Jun dies, that's the Baron. That's an immediate Baron being picked up for IG, and that may well be the final nail in the JDG coffin. But you miss out on that one, and it's another Realm Warp that doesn't get to be proactive, right? Looking at what Scout's been able to do on this Rise so far. He Realm Warps once early on in the game, and they managed to get a kill onto the Shy. It was a very nice play. He then uses it to reposition on the map, reposition his team into a team fight they lose, and save his jungler from a little bit of pressure going on. These are not big Realm Warps. These are not the Realm Warps to change the game. And in fact, the Realm Warp to reposition in the team fight they lose happens because Pays doesn't even make it into it. It's not been a good pickup for JDG so far.
Yeah, they've been timid on some engages too. You know, at the beginning of that fight, Shun is just kind of holding his ultimate like, oh, I'm really scary. Look at me, I'm Vi. But not able to actually pick out a target that JDG are able to go on. And I'm still waiting for Missing to have a really good quickness come through, because the most memorable one was the one where no play happened.
Exactly. It's just, it just hasn't felt so good so far. Still 2 minutes now until the next Drake is going to spawn. The Baron's been up and available for a while at this point, and IG, despite the fact they've been hovering in the area, haven't really felt comfortable to be able to straight up start this one. And to be fair, they don't particularly need to. They're still getting themselves more and more of a gold advantage as this game goes on. Just an inability so far for JDG really to be able to step up and actually get involved in a lot of this game. You can see across the actual CS numbers, JDG, they've been able to farm, but they aren't actually able to turn it into anything else. At the same time, as we've been saying, right, JDG, they've got the scaling factor on their side. It's not a complete wipe for them, but they will get very strong once that third item's completed.
Shun's been called out. He's going to be able to make it toward his Rise, but he's taking a lot of rocks. Gala flashes forward. Here comes the ultimate from Rookie, and Jun is stuck. He will fall A big play by IG, and now the Baron may be in their sights. They're going to rip it.
Yeah, they've used 2 key ultimates now. You don't have the bullet time, you don't have the Weaver's Wall, and there is still a lot of members of JDG in the area, but junglerless, how can they steal this one away?
They need to find a way to get all of their potentially 5,000, 4,000, 3,000. They're going to pull off, man. You're not going to even be able to make an objective trade happen. Nope. IG can just go and do the dragon if they want when it comes up, and you are doomed at this point.
Exactly. This is what we were talking about, right? As IG, you don't have to force around this Baron right now. You're doing fine to just sit there. And the point at which you get a pick, the second pick in a row onto Jun, where he's just out of position. At least he's bailed out by Scout in the first instance, not in the second. There's nothing that you can actually do. You can see JDG, after that Baron play, they push forwards, got themselves a little bit of vision around the area. They've got themselves a potential flanking TP ward. I think that's likely to be cleared away right now. And IG, they come back out of base, spend all of that gold. 3 items now completed onto the key carries in the top, mid, and bot lanes. IG, they're in an incredibly strong position.
Yeah, JDG, they're going to have to just go, man. There's not anything you can do. You can't give this away. You must find a way to force yourself in there. As the dragon has been started, Shun is ready to go. Doesn't have the easy way into the wall, into the dragon pit because he's on the red side of the map. The realm warp was a fake out here, but Mako is looking to keep him away, and it's soul secured for IG. Missing manages to get onto the misfortune, but it didn't matter because Pays has to flash away. But JJ and Rookie are sticking right on him, and Rookie, another Weaver's Wall to cut them all off. He's doing battle with Shun right now. Shun is winning the war because he's punching the crap out of him. There's the ultimate. Rookie goes golden, but he's got no one left to bail him out.
Damn.
Shun at least gets the one on the backside, but Scout is in unfamiliar territory, and IG says, screw it, we're just going to push.
Interesting TP angle right here as well out of the Shy. He wants to find this kill right here onto Scout. Scout, flashless, caught in the red buff. That's a very juicy red buff right here for the Shy. And whilst this is happening, the bot lane tier 3 tower is going to fall. The inhibitor soon to follow as well. There's a potential for a flank right here of Missing, but he's alone. He doesn't have any friends right now. And IG, they're going to take a king's ransom off the back of that play.
This game has been blown wide open by IG. Just play after play after play has really gone their way. They have been just snappy on their execution. Take a look at this fight. Rookie just forces Alla out, and the Shy just deals with him on the side.
It's a completely split fight right here. The fact that the Shy is able to just do this to him right here, styling on him. Rookie, this is unfortunate. This feels bad because of Rookie, you flash over this wall. You think you can win this one. He's missing a surprising amount of the threaded volleys here, but even if you hit all of them, Shun actually still has a lot of tools available.
Rookie's revenge?
Rookie's gonna go again. Yeah, looking for it right now.
Beaver's Wall for jungle camp. Good trade.
Yeah, exactly. Still though, they're gonna be able to push through this top lane. Not send anybody onto the mid lane right now, and Ala actually has a good push going on in the bot side, so this might not be as worth for IG as they would really like to. It depends how much they can get on this push.
ADG are running out of options. Ala is shoving on the bottom side, but IG is just forcing themselves down JDG's throats right now. Top inhibitor has fallen as well. Ala's continuing to push, and already we've lost Missing. Scout has to go gold. He's in trouble too. They're just fighting 5v3. The teleport's finally coming in as Scout limps into the fountain. Shun goes in, but he's knocked up and he falls. You're going to have to make a big hero play, Ala. The first turret has fallen. He's already walking back to the fountain because he needs some mana. The second Nexus turret has fallen.
Done.
He's just knocked away from the fight, but now here's the turnaround. The health bars are starting to get real low. The rune is out. Scout needs to make big plays. Gala is so healthy right now, though. Nexus exposed. He's starting to auto-attack. Big shock blast to take him low. Mako is just dealing with him on the side. And Gala and the Shy have slammed the door shut on JDG. IG have put the LPL on notice. We're back for split 2, baby.
Gorgeous game right there out of IG. They are back. That is a domination of an otherwise pretty solid looking JDG team. I had a thought right at the end of that play, and I need you to fact check it for me, right? We watch the ulti at the very start of the game. well, at the very start, early on in the game, out of Pays. We saw that one in the base. Did he ult a single other actual time?
No, I don't think so. Maybe
I don't think he did either.
For like 2 seconds. I don't think he was able to.
I
wasn't
know,
really
he was
able to,
never
you know?
allowed to.
You got to set your feet on Jhin, right? And he was just never able to because they just went after him every single time. I mean, I am afraid to see the damage numbers coming out from Pays. Like, this is a game where I'm like, if he's got less than 10k damage, I wouldn't be surprised.
But look at the draft, right? Allah's going to go flying in. Jhin's going to go flying in. Scout's going to go realm warping his way in. And Missing, probably going to go flying in. What are you doing as the Jhin? Jhin plays absolute best with 2 to 3 tanks in front of him, and he's just sat back. Like you said, set your feet, put yourself in a good position. He's a quarterback. You have got to get him an O-line. They did not put any protection in front of my man. And you could tell he was just never allowed to do anything. There were individual decent moments out of a couple members of JDG, but it felt like IG just played the map way better.
Yeah, and I think the really interesting thing is that I love that you mentioned this because they are forward Jhin for Pays after they were the ones who banned Kai'Sa in the second half. And Kai'Sa, I think, would have fit really, really well into JDG's comp.
Everybody go in. All go in. Instead, no. Jhin's just left there, not able to play for himself. Definitely some draft-based questions.
Come pick me up. Come pick me up, I'm scared.
Like, he was so lost. It
tough.
just feels bad. It feels really bad for him. And this was another thing that we wanted to mention. Actually, I wonder if we can pull up the graphic from their head-to-head in the previous round, because it was this in the previous round as well. Pays and Missing just not able to get anything done in the bottom lane, whereas Gala, Miko, they looked great in both the previous matchup and in this one.
Yeah, you can take a look at these legendary ADCs. Pays has really, his career still just beginning, has done so much. These were KDAs before today, so Gala did have a KDA of 49. No longer has a KDA of 49, but still damn good.
Yeah, still looking incredible. And the match MVPs, I think the difference right here is that when JDG win games, Pays is the guy. Pays is the guy that's picking up all of the kills, really taking over, whereas on IG, any one of these guys feels like they can be the person that pops off. In this game, the Shy was, I think, a pretty instrumental member, but he was dying a lot. You know, he was taking a lot of pressure. He wasn't being the pop-off carry right here, but all of the pressure going on to his Jace meant that you were so much more open as Rookie and as Gala to just be able to, you know, do what you needed to do.
Yeah, the Shy definitely did the dirty work in this game. Take a look at the damage. Oh my God, Pays almost
actually didn't do much damage
matching
either.
with Gala. Yeah, Gala. The weird part is because when you're playing Misfortune and you don't have like that direct setup where you're starting the fight with your bullet time, I mean, JDG were just running all game long, right? So start the bullet time is like, hey, where are you guys going?
Come back.
Guys, come back. I need to hit you, you know?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So,
If JDG had ever have been in a good spot in this game and they'd have gone flying into IG, that's when the bullet time would have really popped off. Yeah, as you said, unfortunately for the Misfortune, you're kind of jogging to catch up with everybody else.
Damage share out of our Jhin, by the way, at 28% of his team's damage.
Yeah.
And he did like 14.5k. That is tough.
Yikes.
Dude.
I mean, Allah did nothing.
Yeah,
I think on our screen right now we just watched all of the damage Allah did this game. Like, it just was not able to.
This is
up.
Allah right now. Where's the Gwen scissors? Hey, I'll give you a hint. They fell off. I didn't even glue them back on. So now I really want to talk about this JDG team still looking to find their identity. Allah can play a ton of different champions. I don't know if indexing into a super hard carry that is not bringing any utility is it for this team. I really don't know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
I think that right now what I would need to see out of JDG is them giving themselves a significant advantage in draft in one specific area, right? We are better at team fighting. We are better in the late game. We can split push way better than you can and try to play around that. And I think you're right, Arla on these very aggressive top lane champions has looked good in the 1v1s, but so far he hasn't really been able to translate that into good play for his team. He's not been able to get these big advantages elsewhere. We've seen what players like the Shy can do when they get a little bit of a lead on something like the Gwen. they pop off. Hala just wasn't quite able to do that. I think in terms of that significant advantage in draft for themselves, maybe you just need a tank in the top lane. Something more like the Galio, maybe even in the mid lane, and try play around this bot lane, because I think there really is something there with Pays and Missing. They just can't put it together at this point, not against these top tier opponents.
Yeah, the laning was, totally fine. Obviously, they weren't fighting all too much, but you saw Missing early on actually causing some fits. They were able to get level 2 first, so I'd say their laning is just fine. It's just afterwards, not being able to protect this Jhin in this particular fight, or this particular game, I should say, was something disappointing, but obviously, as we talked about with the team comps, very difficult. Now, who do you think earned the MVP here for IG? I think this could be a JJ game, to be honest with you. I'm not sure what your feelings are about that, because Rookie did play really well. We've seen good Talias all day long so far.
Yeah, I think either of those two could well be in on it. If I was allowed my own MVP right here, I think I would actually be putting it a little bit more towards Miko. Like, I thought that was a really nice Alistair game. Well. The 3-man knockup around the Baron pit was really nice. Yeah, and I don't think he's going to get it. I don't think he's going to be the overall MVP. There were carries that did way more, looked way flashier. But I think he was the underpinning win for the team that really needed to happen. If he wasn't there on this Alistair, I don't know that they would have been able to be quite as dominant in this one.
Oh, that's so tough, especially for supports, because we see them come through with one really big play and think that they maybe should get the MVP. Who is it? Yeah! Let's go.
Let's go. Absolutely.
Good call.
I
disagree.
By the way. I disagree with these player of the games so often, but this one I could not agree more. Finally, we're actually going to get some real look towards a support. He was everything to this composition. Like we were saying, as much as there were big, flashy plays out of some of the members, Rookie was able to get some good ones. JJ was able to be really proactive on the Sejuani. Look who was next to him at all times, right? Between Miko and JJ, they ran the map, and Miko, that 3-man knockup, it was just gorgeous.
Yeah, he played really, really well. Really impressive stuff coming out from the support. Just the support diff, hate to say it. Missing didn't play too bad, right? But, it's just the way these teams are, it feels like through the support role, they've been able to do so much, even if they are a bit of the unsung heroes Bloxer. So a big credit and big ups to the lad Mako for getting that MVP. Now, the action is not over yet. We still have 3 more games, LNG versus LGD, JDG versus LGD, and then LNG versus IG. But that'll be it for myself and Bloxer, as we're going to come in with the Greek GOAT Trouble and the phenomenal Frenchman Mazel. They'll be taking over with you guys for the rest of the night. So enjoy, take a quick little break, grab some water, and we'll see you back here in just a couple of moments.
Take a moment right here, feeling like it's out gear. Driving towards the sun with a rose and a gun. Feel the wind in my hair, going nowhere I swear. Like an outlaw on the run, dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running. Told my boss that I'm done. Had no luck with my mom. Say, what will you